Bro, there we go. You are live. Good morning, Facebook crew. Welcome aboard. I say that before anybody's aboard. Got one more story for top, two more stories for top stories and trending.
Hey.
Hey?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Just went into weather.
Okay. Why can't this do what I want it to do?
Hey, am I reading this right? Los Angeles got to quit.
Quiet.
Okay. Quit.
Hey, dude,
yeah.
So I didn't have Wi-Fi in my hotel room. They couldn't figure out why. So I'm like everything's last second on this end.
All good. I was just making sure. I was like, gotta quit. I gotta overthink everything. So I'm like, could it be whatever? All right, let's roll.
604 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane off and running. And welcome aboard to day 2 of the Louisiana Teacher Leader Summit, the Department of Education's Teacher Leader Summit 2025 edition. We are broadcasting live from the Ernest Morial Convention Center for a second day, and we're going to walk you through a lot more today. We'll have Ronnie Morris from Bessie on. We'll have Mary Beth Hughes Derrickson from La B on. We will have the Superintendent of Education, Dr. Cade Brumley, on. We'll have Meredith Jordan on with us this hour, Misty Davis on with us hour. We got a stacked up lineup for you as we take our second day of a deep dive into education. What successes have we seen? How do we capitalize on them? How do we make them even greater? Looking forward to a great show this morning. All right. Brian here with you, John LaBeouf back in studio, starting off at 69 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. And I got to tell you, while I'm only an hour away, it is a world of difference. The storm that rolled through yesterday, and I know Baton Rouge got it bad, New Orleans got it for a quick second as well, just left so much humidity in its wake. I mean, it's impossible not to step outside and sweat down here. So that 69 y'all got going on up there, 69 degrees y'all have going up there, looks so much more appealing than just an hour away. All right, a lot of ground to cover. Let's get right to it. We start off with top stories and trending.
You can go ahead, Brian. Number 5.
Number 5.
There we go. Now I got it in my ear. There we go. Number 5 starts this off with, a group of LSU graduate students developed a car seat alarm system to prevent the risk of heat stroke of children left in hot vehicles. I hope I'm pronouncing these names right. I've only seen them written down. Victoria Irondy, Namdi Dyke, and Trevor Peralt developed the car seat alert system. It's designed here's what the invention does. It uses a weight-based sensor placed under the car seat. A corresponding fob goes on the key ring of the car owner. It alerts the driver if they begin to walk away from the vehicle when the weight sensor senses that there's still a child inside. Students were recognized yesterday by the Louisiana Highway Safety Commission and the Louisiana Passenger Safety Task Force for their innovative work.
Number 4.
A man repeatedly arrested on child sex trafficking has pleaded guilty to human trafficking in state court. He faces federal charges of creating and possessing child sexual abuse materials. Cavante Reed was arrested in 2019, 2021, and 2024 on human trafficking or pandering charges. Police identified victims who were as young as 13 or 14 at the time of the crime. He will be sentenced on September 25th.
Number 3.
A Denham Springs man who was allegedly secretly filming women in Livingston Parish stores has been arrested. Sheriff's office said 23-year-old Tyler Washington followed women at Jubin Crossing and other retail locations like Walmart, took photos of the women without their knowledge. Sheriff Jason Ard said the sheriff's office has video of Washington wearing disguises in the store while trying not to be caught. Washington was booked with 4 counts of stalking and video voyeurism. Ard thinks there might be more victims out there. If you remember something like this happening to you, ladies, contact the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office.
Number 2.
Last Thursday, the Pennington Biomedical Research Center formally announced the launch of the Grow Healthy initiative. This is a traveling effort, taking a bus on the road all throughout the state to combat childhood obesity within Louisiana. There's an extended version of this story. There's a great report on this up on our website, talk1073.com, submitted by our new intern, Adeline Fields.
Number 1.
Second to the penultimate day out at the state capitol. Things got to be closed out by 6 p.m. tomorrow, so look for a lot of activity, a lot of action going on as everything gets wrapped up. I'm trying to reset my internet over here to make sure I have what I'm looking for. Obviously, the biggest item that has to get across the finish line is House Bill 1. It is, as it stands right now, back in the House for concurrence, and then we'll head to the governor's desk from there.
All right. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, John.
All right. You feeling good this morning?
I am a Red Bull and a half good right now.
Yeah. All right.
The little ones.
Right.
Normally I'll go for a 12-ounce if I'm on the road. They only had the 4-pack at the Walgreens for the 4-pack of the 8.4 ounces. So, I said, let's round up.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, man. Hey, well, last night, Los Angeles got a quiet night as the mayor imposed a curfew 5 days into the ICE riots. So,
yeah, I don't know how that works. If the police tell you to go home and you don't, the National Guard tells you to go home and you don't, and then the mayor comes out and says, "You guys, it's past your bedtime. You guys go home. Come back tomorrow. Do it again. We'll see you here. We'll have donuts, maybe some crullers, maybe a bear claw or two."
Yeah.
It's LA, so they're all organic.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
I don't understand I don't understand how throwing firebombs at police cars and police officers, that's, they're going to do that. But when the mayor says, it's time to call it for the day, guys, clock out like Fred Flintstone and we'll see you tomorrow.
They're like, oh, why didn't you say anything sooner? Yeah.
Right.
In other news, President Donald Trump said during a speech Tuesday in Fort Bragg that he would restore the names for military bases that had their names changed, including changing Fort Johnson in Louisiana back to Fort Polk.
There's certain things I just don't understand.
Yeah.
The want to focus on things that aren't going to better my life. I get so much of what he does, and then I turn around and I'm like, all you're doing is you're trying to stoke flames that have long since been put out. On my list of priorities, this is rearranging knickknacks in a curio cabinet, as opposed to, if like when you're taking on your spring cleaning around the house, he's not dusting, he's not vacuuming, he's not putting a fresh coat of paint on things with this. He's rearranging knickknacks in the curio cabinet and doing so in a way that's only going to start a fight. Fort
Right.
Polk was a Confederate general. A general, I believe. Yeah, Fort Polk
Yeah,
was
he
a
was.
Confederate general. I don't know much about him. Couldn't tell you his win-loss record. He fought for the Confederacy, so he probably didn't have a lot in the win column. But the point is, like, why go after this? You've got the big, beautiful bill that's out there. You've got so many other things. Hell, military reenlistment is booming right now, or military enlistment is booming right now. Continue to double down on those wins. Continue to double down on those efforts. Keep your eye on the tariff prize right now. Just with so many other things going on, I don't understand the want to focus on things that will not make anybody in Americans' life better.
Right. No, I absolutely agree. And speaking of the president, Elon Musk says he regrets some of the things he said in lashing out at President Trump recently. He says he went too far in calling for Trump's impeachment and saying he was in the Epstein files.
Okay, so follow-up question, Mr. Musk. Does that mean he wasn't in the Epstein files? Or does that mean you didn't mean to say he was in the Epstein files?
Right.
Like, we need a clarification on this one.
Yeah.
I haven't read the story yet. I scrolled past the headline. I saw it. I was like, oh, I don't have the bandwidth this morning to get into that one, but I'm gonna have to. Because that is an important clarification note right there. If Elon's like, yeah, I didn't really mean it. He wasn't really in there. Still isn't really in there. Like, if that was,
right.
Or I was just speculating. Like, ooh, that's some dangerous ground to walk there, Captain Musk. And by the way, I don't know if it's like, do you credit him for coming back and saying I went too far? Or do you say grown-ass men shouldn't have tantrums like that in the first place?
Well, they shouldn't, Brian, but breakups are tough, man, no matter, how old you are.
I think Elon realized this was a full-on breakup, too. I think that's why he's contrite here, is because when the president said we used to have a relationship,
Yeah.
I mean, go pick up your Letterman's jacket, boss, because this one's over with.
Oh, man. Yeah.
All right. That is a look at what's trending this morning. Before we take our first break, I want to remind you about the folks at Mathern's. Are we too early for the specials at Mathern's? Every Wednesday, they get reset, and you will find a brand new brand new deals of the week. No, we're not too early. All right. Food Club vegetable or canola oils at $1.99 a bottle right now. That is a 40-ounce bottle at $1.99. It's $1 off. That's not too bad. What else we got here? Oh, saving $1.50 off any Springer Mountain Farm. What is it? Springer Mountain Farm chicken products. Those are $1.50 off a piece right now. You're saving $1 off of Craven Foods potatoes. You're saving $1 off of cream cheese. You're saving $1 off a 24-pack of water. Those are just a few of the deals. I'm not scrolling through all of them because there's too many of them. A few of the deals that are available right now with the Mathern's Rewards app. And don't forget, once you sign up, scan your little barcode. Once you download the app, scan the barcode every time you're in Mathern's, and you're earning cash towards more groceries every time you shop. It's good at all three locations. You pick your preferred location, but it's good at all three. Downtown on 3rd Street, Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center, directly across the street from Tiger Stadium. Oh, and don't forget, there's still time to get your catering orders in if you're hosting a little party for College World Series. And then, of course, the OG location over there off Kenilworth. It's Mathern's. Quick break, come back. Let's talk a little Saints football next.
All right, you clear.
Cool. How long did we run there?
It's 6:15.
Okay, we're not bad.
Not too bad.
Oh,
yeah, that must have been what happened last night. Power must have went out because all I did was just reboot the computer, and White Orb was back.
How are we, Facebook? Are we hearing me this morning, Facebook? Are we all good? Hey, we are. Man, look what happens when things get off and running the right way, huh?
I'm telling you.
Unbelievable. Good morning. Morning. A dude just walked into the ladies' room.
What?
And the women are talking to him. And they're not mad.
Strange. You don't want to assume his gender.
They're just conversing back and forth. I can hear the whole thing. I can't make out what they're saying, but it's pleasant. Like, it's not like they're like screaming. I'm like, get out of here. That's bizarre.
All right, just hit the bumper.
Okay.
All right, let's roll.
It's 6:18 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. So OTAs are in the books for the Saints. Day one of minicamp was yesterday. Oh, by the way, OTAs. OTAs. What does OTA stand for? Well, if you're the Saints, it's over towards airline. Day one of Saints minicamp is in the books. Head coach Kellen Moore says that he's impressed by the play of his. Oh, but we're talking LSU baseball in our next segment, so I'm not prioritizing differently here. Tyler Shuck, Spencer Rattler, they're getting some attention. Cut 19, please.
We have a good group. I think these guys have done an awesome job through this whole offseason process. They're on the younger side from an experience standpoint in this league, but they're hungry, they're ready. They're really, really smart football players. They understand it at a really high level. They have high capacity. They're throwing it well out here, and so I feel like they're doing everything we can ask for them.
Moore says they worked on situational football yesterday. Cut 20.
Today was really about understanding the situations and how we apply those schemes into those. And so we really hammered that with the QBs. They did an awesome job understanding what second and long feels like and how we play that situation versus how we play a third down, when we know we have fourth down in our pocket. And so they did an awesome job with that. I think that was a big thing for us as we go through this minicamp.
Minicamp will continue today. Meanwhile, in the NBA, we move things over to Indianapolis. Game 3, Pacers Thunder is tonight, 7:30 tip-off. You'll hear that on our sister station, 104.5 ESPN. 6:20, time for the Fox Business Report.
All right, you clear. Perfect.
Ain't it crazy how I'm better about being on time when I'm on the road? You know why? Because I have an actual atomic clock in front of me.
Okay. Well, there we go.
I know. I should probably just open that up at home, too. But if I open that up, I got to close something else. So.
Oh, okay. So you have it on your phone?
Laptop.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so he came back out and walked off.
Yeah, that's so strange.
They're all staff, so I'm guessing they were cleaning. I don't know. So weird. So we had a little talk with the powers that be, and it looks like next year when I come back, and I am coming back next year, they're going to move me back in front of everybody.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you're familiar with the convention center, the side that's closest to the Riverwalk where the entrance is, I'm behind the escalators.
Okay.
And like, there's the expo hall is right behind me, so it makes sense for me to be here. But there's so much action on the other side, so and this was a good spot to put me just to test out and see how good of a spot it would be.
Right.
We'll keep tinkering with it. It's getting tighter every year, looking good. A
Getting
well-oiled
closer and closer.
machine, as it were.
Yeah.
No, I need to get ready for traffic, don't I? See, I'm on my game now.
Here we go.
As I walked over from the hotel to the convention center this morning, I carried my jacket instead of wearing it. So while I was sweaty getting here, there was a lot less, to be sure.
Oh, yeah. Jeez.
I don't want to do traffic in New Orleans. That'd be funny if I did, though.
Right.
Wait, it's nothing going on Baton Rouge.
All right. Yeah. He's calling up for traffic now. Let's see. Okay. We can roll.
All right, time to head back to the Shaw Mills Tire Traffic Center, and we have some. There's a blockage congestion on 110 southbound near Evangeline, and that's showing up on my big board as having that's where it is. But if I'm looking at the map, I'm not seeing any delays as a result of it. So if your commute's taking you 110 southbound past Evangeline, be on the lookout for it. But as of right now, there's no yellow nor red. Speaking of no yellow nor red, we're lighter than normal on 12 westbound coming in from Denham Springs. 10 westbound coming in from Ascension Parish is always golden unless there's an accident, and there is not. 10 eastbound coming in from West Baton Rouge Parish looks good as well. On your surface streets, only one accident to look out for, and that is from about 30 minutes ago. That would be Winchester at Hollywood Street. Might still be worked. That might still be being worked right now, so be on the lookout for it. But it's a super light morning when it comes to your morning drive. That's really good traffic from the Shaw Mills Tire Traffic Center.
All right.
624 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. All right, broken sports into two pieces here because, well, we had some Saints to report on, and we also have some LSU Tigers to report on. They are wheels up for Omaha this morning. Going to be playing Arkansas on Saturday night in the opening round of the College World Series. Coach Jay Johnson talking with reporters, our partners at the Louisiana Radio Network caught hold of him. Jay Johnson says fine-tuning their mental preparation is the biggest priority for the players at this moment. Cut 16, please.
So that we stay in character and execute our process of winning, which this team's been very good and very consistent at. And it's just kind of leaning into, or what I would say, doubling down on what makes us is really the plan and blueprint for playing well in Omaha.
Second baseman Daniel Dickinson has been one of the more consistent players on this Tiger team. Johnson knew when he signed Dickinson out of the transfer portal that he would have a major impact on the program overall.
I think Danny added a lot to the guys on this team, like different approach to things than maybe some of them were used to, but it's exactly what our team needed. He's meant far more than being, in my opinion, the best defensive second baseman in the country and a 335 hitter and 12 homers and RBIs and clutch hits. He's meant a lot more to our team than just the statistics.
Oh, absolutely. You look at where he's been placed in the lineup all season long. That reflects that. It's going into the season. And I know Bear Jones has had his problems at the plate. He's been in a slump lately. But going into the season, the biggest question mark was who do you put behind Bear so that opposing pitchers don't pitch around him? Dickinson was the answer to that question and has been. And until Jay Johnson, jacked around with the lineup a little bit heading into regionals, which has worked, and super regionals, which has worked. So Dickinson has made it Jay Johnson's job easier in that you could put him wherever. You could put him in a high pressure situation. You could put him in a lower pressure situation. Either way, he's getting the job done. So 6 p.m. Saturday, our sister station Eagle 98.1 is where you're going to find that game. The other two teams on LSU's half of the bracket are going to be UCLA and Murray State. Murray State was 4 seed in the Oxford Regional, making it to Omaha. Johnson gave a quick breakdown of all the teams that LSU will have to battle to get to the championship series. Cut 18, please.
Murray State, I mean, just they earned it, man. They lost the first one too. UCLA is playing great. I think they've swept through this thing, and then Arkansas has swept through it, and we obviously know how good they are. So I think it does just come down to baseball and being in tune with what we do.
Like we said, 6 p.m. will be first pitch over on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. Chris Blair will be on the call on the LSU Sports Radio Network. One other quick, I tell you what, let's make sure we stay on time. We got one more story coming out of LSU. Before that, though, have you made your lunch plans yet? Probably not. I'm probably getting to you early enough here at 6:27. Maybe think about P.F. Chang's over there in Town Center off Corporate Boulevard. You know how to find them. You look for the giant golden horse. The sesame beef is unbelievable. The black pepper chicken could not be better. The flavor, like you think black pepper chicken, it's so simple. No, the flavor is so consistent throughout, and it just pops. It doesn't overwhelm you with spice. It just comes alive and brings the flavor of the onions and the peppers and the chicken, brings it all together with that black pepper sauce. The black pepper chicken is phenomenal. Not going to go wrong with anything you find on the Chang's menu, and I love recommending them for lunch. But they're also a great spot. I love recommending them for lunch because it's lighter fare, it's better ingredients. It's not that normal Chinese takeout that you would think of that just kind of sits in your gut and weights you down. It's better across the board. Now, I tell you about them for lunch, but I rarely tell you about them for dinner. Love going there for dinner. Here's why. I'm not the type of guy that's going to have a couple cocktails with lunch, but I will imbibe a little bit at dinner time. A little bit, air quotes. The bar is phenomenal, y'all. The creativity that goes into the cocktails, the perfection with which they mix their cocktails is beyond compare. And oh, by the way, you'll find dinner specials starting at $6.99. Like I said, Town Center, Corporate Boulevard, look for the giant golden horse. One more story out of LSU when it comes to baseball, and that is shout-outs to outfielder Derek Curiel and pitcher Kason Evans. They were both named to the 2025 first-team freshman All-American team by the National Collegiate Baseball Writers Association. Curiel comes in, and I'm stealing this one from WBRZ. Curiel started all 63 games at LSU, leading the team with a .347 batting average, 7 home runs, 52 RBI in the year, and he has been a consistent force throughout the season. Evans, 17 appearances during the season, 4-1 record with a 1.90 ERA. This is the fun part. 65 strikeouts and 47.1 innings pitched. And, of course, Evans came on strong towards the end of the season to be more and more vital as the Tigers were making their run towards Omaha. So big ups to Derek Curiel and Kason Evans for that nod, to be sure. We are looking at 1 minute till we have to hit news, traffic, weather. When we come back, that's where we start to take our deep dive into today's festivities. We are broadcasting live from the Morial Convention Center down in New Orleans. This is the Department of Education's Teacher Leader Summit. Our guest list is going to begin in just a second. We're going to talk with the Executive Director of Diverse Learners for the Department of Education. That would be Meredith Jordan. Looking forward to this conversation as how do we make our outcomes better for students that have disabilities? We'll talk with Meredith about that. Also coming up this hour before we hit news at the top of the hour, Misty Davis is the Executive Director of Attendance Strategy. Looking forward to both those conversations. That's where we will pick it up next. Right now, ABC News, local news, traffic, weather, right here on Talk 107.3.
All right, you clear.
Cool. And I'm not tossing the weather, just take it.
Okay.
All right. And, boy, I keep one eye on that connection, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Byron, I love Coach's quotes. It does just come down to baseball. We were going to line up in the 7th inning stretch and have a pickleball match. So some of it comes down to pickleball. Oh, so good. Good Lord. What? Oh. Never mind. Who? Good morning, Christy. Welcome in, sweetheart. Assuming she's in there. I had hopped out, so I don't know. All right. I'm going to go find my next guest. I'll be back in a minute.
This is one of my favorite parts.
Same, by the way. This is, no, I love that Dr. Brumley wanted to do this.
It adds to the excitement. Everybody is motivated and excited. It's amazing.
We're winning.
Yes.
We're winning. And we need to talk about winning when we do it.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, Brian, you there? Hey, Brian.
Where we at, John?
Hey, I was calling for you. I was
Oh.
about to call you or text you.
Are we
All right,
back in?
Yeah, we're back in.
Cool.
Let's roll.
636 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane. Rolling right along. Okay. We're here for a reason. We are at the Ernest Morial Convention Center in New Orleans for a reason. That reason is the Department of Education's 2025 Teacher Leader Summit. So let's dive into the first of today's conversations. We got Meredith Jordan with us. Meredith is the Executive Director of Diverse Learners with the Department of Education. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what that means, who she serves, and everything under her umbrella. Meredith, welcome back. How are you?
I'm great. This is one of my most exciting moments of Teacher Leader. So I love being here with you and your viewers.
No. I'm sorry. We're in the convention center.
Yeah.
We're like 4 blocks from the French
That's
Quarter.
right.
It's 6:30 in the morning. Like, there's no way this is one of your favorite parts. And I was
Listen,
watching like teachers yesterday. I don't
Yeah.
know if you can let teachers just cut loose in the French Quarter.
I
feel
mean,
for the French Quarter.
they are so fired up.
I
They're
know.
so
It's
motivated and
1,000%
exciting.
adrenaline.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. That's how we feel.
it's been a lot of
Best
energy
week of
thus
the
far.
summer.
Yes, it is. And I'll expound upon that later on. Not eat up your time. You got a lot to cover here because you're showing wins on top of wins. Let's start by broadening out, like, we're backing up a little bit and talk about what it is you do. What is the Executive Director of Diverse Learners? Who do you serve?
So I lead all things statewide strategy in Louisiana for diverse learners, which includes our students with disabilities and our English learners. So supporting our amazing school system leaders, our educators, our principals, our families, every single stakeholder who has interest in growing and improving these students and their children. That's exactly what I'm here to do in Louisiana.
Was there a time, I hate to put it this way, but was there a time where students with disabilities were just kind of like, I don't want to say overlooked. That's probably not the right word, but it probably is. I mean, is putting emphasis on this this feels newer.
Yeah, absolutely. There were certainly times in our educational history when students with disabilities certainly didn't have the expectation that they were going to learn to read or learn to do mathematics or problem solve like all other students. And certainly there were times in educational history where these students were separated and isolated into other settings with lower outcomes, lower expectations. And we're turning that around in Louisiana. We have been for several years now, and we have the results to prove that. And I'm really excited. I tell people I don't want to do this work in any other state. Right here in Louisiana, with our educators, with our families, is where I love to be.
Talking with Meredith Jordan, the Executive Director of Diverse Learners. Okay, so let's talk about the strides y'all have made. Let's talk about the wins. What does success look like? What are those strides?
Look, Louisiana students with disabilities are leading the way nationally. Our latest NAEP scores showed students with disabilities in Louisiana both outgrew and straight performance outperformed all other students with disabilities in the nation. So they're like peers. Our kids with disabilities are leading the way in the nation. We've got a lot of folks looking to us nationally, a lot of other states looking to us. What are you doing? Which is incredible. Like, there's really not a word that describes that level of achievement in our state. All of the other things that are happening in our state are impacting this. But when you look at students like you asked me, who traditionally we didn't have expectations that they could or should read and write and learn to do mathematics, and they are. It is absolutely remarkable. And in addition to that, 3 years straight in a row on our statewide assessments, LEAP, our state assessments, our students with disabilities are showing year-over-year gains in mastery. Even our literacy outcomes. I know Dr. Shaslan, Dr. Brumley talk about that a lot as well. Our kids with disabilities are learning to read, which is their foundation. Many of them are identified for special education because they never learned to read, and we're really turning that around in our state, and it's remarkable.
I hate to ask such a basic question, but spell out some of the disabilities. Like, what qualifies someone?
The top disability, the most common disability across the nation in Louisiana is specific learning disability, which could be it's a reading challenge or a math challenge. We have intellectual disabilities. There are emotional disabilities. Autism, as you know, is on the rise nationally and in our state. There are low incidence disabilities, deafness, blindness. So 13 categories in all, exceptionalities defined federally that students can qualify under. So they're a diverse group of students with all very special, very individualized needs, but we believe in them, and they are achieving, and we will not stop until they are all successful.
Students with disabilities and English learners. What's English
Yeah.
learners?
So, an English learner is a student who has not yet mastered the English language. They are growing in their language acquisition. Some of these students are immigrants. They have been in the country for a few years. And so they are also learning English alongside their academic content in schools. And so we do have an individual on our team who is leading our English learner framework and leading that statewide strategy. Very similar, ensuring those students have access to high quality instruction, that they have language supports built into their daily instruction. Teachers know how to support those students, even though they may have limited English language. And honestly, providing them extra time for intervention during the school day as well, but very targeted to their needs.
We're talking with Executive Director of Diverse Learners, Meredith Jordan. Okay, what's the special education playbook?
So we started 4 years ago when I took this position, crafting a very intentional strategy for our state to improve outcomes for students with disabilities, just like we've been talking about here, to really get us to that place of true access to high quality teaching and learning. We launching our latest version of our playbook this week at Teacher Leaders Summit. Same 3 best research-based instructional practices for students with disabilities, but additional implementation supports. So our playbook condenses years of research, what works for students with disabilities, into 3 bite-sized pieces that we know our educators can certainly implement and that will help us improve and is improving outcomes for us. A focus on core instruction, extra time to learn, and ensuring content strong individuals, and some of our best teachers are in front of our students who need them, who need it the most. And so those 3 strategies, all sort of meshed in together into our playbook. Those are the plays that we believe system leaders, school leaders, teachers, we change, Brian, we know we impact outcomes one classroom at a time each and every day. And so really clear strategies that our teachers can use and implement. They can build into students' individualized education plans to make sure they have the supports they need to access that high quality instruction.
We are going to run out of time. I got so much more here.
We could talk all day.
I know. It's just rolling already.
Absolutely.
So everything you just described involves a lot of parental buy-in.
Absolutely.
Talk to me a little bit about the parental buy-in from this special education perspective.
Absolutely. So our parents of our children with disabilities, they play a critical role in shaping the success of their children. They're our best partners. We have done a lot of policy work with them, alongside them at the state level. They're one of the most important, if not the most important person in a child's journey. I love working with our families and our parents. I have several pieces of advice for them if you'd like for me to close out there too. Build partnerships, be communicative with your schools, with your IEP teams, with their teachers, their therapists. I find that parents getting to know and getting involved is so important. Participation in those IEP meetings. And lastly, Brian, we have some of the most comprehensive supports in our state. We have a parent training information center, family centers. I love it when parents get involved with those organizations, seek the help they need to support their students.
Got 30 seconds left. Give me the big picture of what this means for the state.
So, in our state, inclusive education, education that serves all students. This really means that students with disabilities learn to read, write, do mathematics, problem solve. They have clear goals. They have a plan for the day after high school, Brian.
Right.
They are productive citizens. We believe in them. We know they can achieve. They're doing it nationally. We're seeing the results. I'm so proud of them. I'm proud of our educators and our leaders, our families that are supporting their children. It's incredible.
She is Meredith Jordan, Executive Director of Diverse Learners. I can't tell you how much I appreciate a couple minutes this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Quick break for traffic and your money now. We'll continue next. We're good?
Yes, you're clear.
I stayed close to the ball. So many follow-up questions on the side. That's Let me know when we're up, John.
Yep, I just literally just hit the bumper. All right, you ready? Let's roll.
6:52 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. We're going to get ABC News for you coming up here in 7.5 minutes as we'll get reset for the top of the hour. For now, we are continuing our coverage of the Teacher Leader Summit from the Montreal Convention Center down in New Orleans. Department of Education brings us out here to take a deep dive into what's going on in our classrooms, or in this case, what's going on kind of outside the classroom. Misty Davis is the Executive Director of Attendance Strategy for the Department of Education. Welcome aboard, Misty. How are you?
Thanks. I'm good. Great to be here.
I'm going to get this moved just up a little bit. There
All
we go. We're going to talk a little bit about attendance strategy, and that means breaking down truancy, chronic absenteeism, and there's a difference between the two. You were
Yes.
telling me during the break. What's the difference between chronic absenteeism and truancy?
So chronic absenteeism is a measurement of students that have missed 10% or more of school days. And so if you consider that average school calendar has 177 to 180 days of school, students that are chronically absent miss 18 or more days of school in the school year. But something that we're trying to share is that we can know that before the end of the school year, right at day 20. If a student has 2 absences, then may want to keep an eye on it, make sure things aren't progressing.
2 absences that's a good run of a fever. I mean,
It could happen that we're not going to trigger any kind of action necessarily at 2 absences, but we're noticing that at 20 days. And
Yeah.
then at 30 days, if it's 3 or 4 absences, then that's something that we can keep up with. Another thing with chronic absenteeism to note is that it includes excused and unexcused absences. So it represents missed seat time during instruction
right.
and missed instructional time.
So basically, regardless of why you're gone, you still got to be accountable for what you missed.
Right, absolutely. And so we just don't want to lose sight of that because we want to make sure that students have the support that they need to get that instructional time. Then truancy focuses on unexcused absences. And so the definition there is 5 or more unexcused absences or tardies within a single semester. And so there are actually some judicial processes that we need to go through when a student becomes truant. But at the end of the day, we want to support children being in class consistently, and if absences are occurring, help students understand the importance of being in school, and then if there are underlying issues, connecting them with support and resources that can help them be back in school.
What are some of the reasons behind I mean, obviously sickness is one, but behind not just chronic absenteeism, but see, I hear the word truancy, and I just think there's a want to not be in school. Like I don't need it. I don't want to go. I've got better things to do with my life than go to school.
So there are some misconceptions about the importance of school that can contribute to students not being there. But then there's other underlying causes that obviously you said illness, but students experiencing housing instability or food insecurity that make it hard to get to school. Transportation can be a huge problem that can be a barrier that can keep children from school. Also, feeling just a lack of connectedness or belonging in school. But the important thing is that we take a moment if students are missing school to really find out what is the root cause for those absences, and then help connect students and families to resources that could help them overcome those barriers.
Okay, lack of connectedness or belonging. There's going to be something psychologically deeper right there. How quickly does that cross over to a feeling of being unsafe? And we'll go ahead and use the B word there. How often does it transfer over to?
So we don't have exact numbers on what those are, but what we do know is that there are solutions and things that we can do to help students feel more connected at school. Having an adult mentor that connects with them on a regular basis, checks in on how they're doing. Also, simple things. Principals and people at school welcoming children into the building, welcoming them into classrooms, helping them get connected with after school activities, organizations at school. So there's things we can do to help promote connectedness and help them feel more like school is a place they want to be.
Where do we start to see, I mean, age-wise, where do we start to see this become a real issue?
So the numbers tend to increase as children get older. I mean, That's probably not surprising to anyone. So we look at the data in grade bands. So K through 5, 6, 12, and high school. And the percentages do get higher as students get older. And so, but those are things for us to know. We're working really hard to look at our data, look for trends, see what it tells us, and then how can we create support and action steps that address those trends.
Let's talk about those action steps. The Here at the Teacher Leader Summit, attendees can expect a little bit on the attendance track there. What can they expect from the new attendance track? How are y'all attacking things differently?
So as a team, we are taking a multi-tiered approach to supporting schools. So we have some universal support and guidance that's available for all schools and systems. We're putting out a new guidance document about the power of presence, our attendance strategy, and what our expectations are around attendance. We also have monthly webinars that school leaders can be a part of. We've got obviously learning here at the summit. We've got some system regional collabs where we'll provide some universal learning. Then we've got an intermediate tier of support for systems that are underperforming the state on some metrics that we're monitoring, and that's where our team will go in and provide some field-based support. We'll come in, sit down alongside you, look at your data, figure out where some problems might be, and then work on solutions for those problems. And then we have our highest tier is systems that have actually accepted some funding from us, and they are hiring attendance improvement specialists that are focused solely on the attendance issues in those parishes and targeting those highest need schools and helping them create targeted plans that address the data and the issues in their specific systems and schools.
We got exactly 1 minute left.
Okay.
Let's talk about collaboration, because I know sometimes this gets bigger than just being able to handle things within the Department of Education. You need Bessie's help. You need the help of the judges out there. I need to put you in touch with State Representative Barbara Freiberg. She's going to be your biggest ally. She just got a resolution passed through this legislative session that addresses a lot of this. So in this last 40 seconds or so, the collaboration, the partnerships look like what?
So we have been in meetings with Chief Justice Weimer's office, and he has a cabinet that he has started. And so we're in communication with them in collaboration. They will actually be part of our attendance track tomorrow here at Summit. And so we'll have the opportunity to work with them, and we have ongoing meetings. We also collaborate with the Children's Cabinet and that office and the judicial offices throughout the state.
She is Misty Davis, Executive Director of Attendance Strategy. Awesome stuff. Thank you so much for a couple minutes.
Thank you for having me.
It's coming up, Heads Up, 7 o'clock at Talk 107.3 FM.
All right, you're clear.
So this was just passed through the state legislature. I thought I opened it. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, we just want to study.
Creates a study group with 16 members to study truancy, including the feasibility and advisability of adjusting the student count methodology using K through 12 funding formula to address truancy, and provides for the submission of a written report. Blah 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 blah. So,
yeah, it's really cool that we have judicial and legislative and Bessie support on this work, and so that's a really fabulous place to be. I feel like there's a lot of people that are really working together on this, and so that's part of our team's role is how we make.
hey John.
Hey.
My 7:15 guest is going to be on the phone. It's Mary Beth from Lobby.
Okay. So
I don't know if she's calling us or we're calling her.
Okay.
So let me text her and find out.
Yeah, that'll work. I'll keep a lookout.
John, you know what to do to set it up to where I can hear the phone, right?
Yeah. I mean, I should just be able to do just offline, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That means she's going to hear everything that I hear, though. So, like, it's
I'll make sure I take myself out of offline.
yeah. Oh, we were running into that yesterday, by the way. All through the 8 o'clock hour, we could hear you and Moon talking.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No worries. With all the other problems we were having, I wasn't even going to bring it up.
Oh man.
Just staying on the air was my big hurdle.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, Mary Beth's going to call the hotline.
Okay. I'll be on the lookout. You said 7:15?
Yep. Y'all are quiet on Facebook this morning. What's up with that? I'm going to throw away my Red Bull can. Morning.
Just got in the weather.
HB.
Bumper.
Do what?
We're coming into the 7 o'clock.
Oh, already? Dadgum.
All right. Ready to roll?
Yep.
Let's go.
7:05 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 2 of Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. Brian here with you. John LaBeouf back in studio. I am at the Morial Convention Center down in New Orleans. This is day 2 of the Department of Education's Teacher Leader Summit, taking a deep dive into basically every aspect of it, K through 12 education in Louisiana. Where are we seeing wins? How can we capitalize on those wins and make them more? We got a lot of ground to cover on the show today. We're going to talk in this hour with Mary Beth Hughes Derrickson from Law B. We're going to talk in this hour with Bessie District 6 representative. That'd be our neck of the woods. Ronnie Morris going to join us. Next hour, we've got Dr. Cade Brumley for 2 full segments there to break things down. So a lot of ground still to cover here from the Teacher Leader Summit. Looking forward to it. Before we get back into it, though, top stories and trending. Let's go.
Number 5.
A group of LSU grad students developed a car seat alarm system to prevent the risk of heat stroke of children left in hot vehicles. I hope I'm getting these names right. I've only read them. I haven't pronounced them out, heard them pronounced out loud. Victoria Irondi, Namdi Dyke, and Trevor Peralt developed the alert system. Here's what it does. It takes a weight-based sensor placed under the car seat. A corresponding fob attached to the key ring alerts the driver if they begin to walk away from the vehicle while the child is still inside based off of the weight that's in the seat. The students were recognized yesterday by the Department of the Highway Safety Commission and by the Louisiana Passenger Safety Task Force for their innovative work.
Number 4.
A man repeatedly arrested on child sex trafficking has pleaded guilty to human trafficking in state court. He faces federal charges of creating and possessing child sexual abuse materials. Cavante Reed was arrested in 2019, 2021, and 2024 on human trafficking or pandering charges. Police identified victims who were as young as 13 or 14 at the time of the crime. He will be sentenced on September 25th.
Number 3.
Out in Denham Springs, a man who was allegedly secretly filming women in different stores has been arrested. Sheriff's Office said 23-year-old Tyler Washington followed women at Jubin Crossing and other retail locations like Walmart, took photos of women without their knowledge. Sheriff Jason Ard said that the Paris Sheriff's Office has video of Washington wearing disguises in the stores while trying not to be caught. I don't understand that part. Washington was booked with 4 counts of stalking and video voyeurism. Sheriff Ard believes that these might not be the only 4 victims. So if this happened to you, if you noticed something while you were in a store, contact the Sheriff's Office. Contact the Sheriff's Office and they can follow through.
Number 2.
Last Thursday, the Pennington Biomedical Research Center formally announced the launch of the Grow Healthy Initiative. This is a traveling effort, taking a bus on the road all throughout the state of Louisiana to combat childhood obesity in the state. Now, we've got a great extended article on this. It's available at talk1073.com. It's actually our first contribution by our new intern, Adeline Fields.
Number 1.
The penultimate day at the state capitol today. Yes, things will wrap up tomorrow by law. They have to wrap up by 6 p.m. tomorrow. They'll call sine die. What's the big ticket item for today? Well, it is HB 1 by State Representative Jack McFarland, a.k.a. the budget. It is on the calendar, scheduled for concurrence on 6/11/2025. That would be today. The budget's already made its way through the House and the Senate. It's back for concurrence, and then it's off to the governor's desk from there.
All right, Brian, how's it going?
Going very well, John. Going very, very well. I hesitate to say that. It's a remote broadcast. There's moving pieces. Things can go wrong. Plugs can fall out of walls.
Hey, they could.
Yeah.
But they haven't yet.
Yeah.
So very, very happy about that.
So far, so good, though. This is about the time where I'm starting to see more and more of the people from the expo, which is right behind me. If you're watching on Facebook Live, I'm posted up in front of the expo. The vendors and whatnot starting to roll in with their little, their portable wheelbarrows. I don't know, what do you call those? Like the wagons, the extendo wagons there. They're starting to roll through with those. You're about to see a guy ride through on a motorized tricycle, just going zooming right by me. Look at it. There he goes.
Let's see. There's a little bit of a delay here, so I'll probably see it in a few seconds.
Yeah, you will. You will. He'll be riding by.
I see him. Look at him. You better slow down. You better slow down.
What? No. So an hour from now, this place is going to be jam packed. Well, on the other side of the escalators, will be jam packed. He wouldn't be able to whip through like that coming up very, very shortly. So what do we got that's trending this morning?
Los Angeles, okay? Los Angeles got a quiet night last night as the mayor imposed a curfew 5 days into the ICE riots.
How does that work? How does that work? So you got the police out there, they say go home, they say no. You got National Guard out there saying go home, they say no. The mayor rolls through and says, guys, it's past your bedtime. And everybody goes home for the night. Guys, I need y'all to clock out like Fred Flintstone at the quarry. We'll be back at it tomorrow.
He's got some pull, man.
If
that's all it took, right?
And
sorry.
Man, it's I don't get it. I don't understand it. If we're here to disrupt, if we're here to break the law, if we're here to thumb our nose at authority, why does that work at all?
Right.
Oh, he just went back by again on the scooter.
I heard that. I didn't see it this time. Oh, there he goes. Man.
So good. I want one of those. I need one of those. This is a big old place, man. The convention center here, like I know we look at the River Center and be like, we got ourselves a nice. This thing's huge, man. It's its own zip code.
Hey, Brian, production note here. I got the phone ringing. I might be your next guest, so allow me just 1 second just to put her on hold.
I'll tell you what, I will take that second to tell you about the folks over at Landmark Bank. Check them out online at landmarkbankla.com. Founded in 1897 as a community bank, and here in 2025, they are a community bank, sticking to their message for more than 125 years, 127 years to be exact. Nope. Yeah. 2025 plus, yeah. 127 years. Going to roll over to 128 this year.
I know,
Look,
good.
while they are a community bank and while you will have access to them personally, unlike some of the big boys where everything's an automated menu and whatnot, no. The person you deal with when you walk in, that's your banker. While you'll have that level of access, that personal touch, you do not lose out on the services. Want to get a list of their locations? Check out landmarkbankla.com. Want to get a list of those services for your personal banking? Check out landmarkbankla.com. Want to know what you can do through Landmark Bank for your business? Check out landmarkbankla.com. All right, John.
Yes.
What else
back
is
on
trending?
track.
Yep.
President Donald Trump said during a speech Tuesday in Fort Bragg that he would restore the names for military bases that had their names changed, including changing Fort Johnson in Louisiana back to Fort Polk.
Oh, and this improves our safety. How? This improves my bank account. How? This
Right.
lowers the price of gas. How? This lowers the price of groceries. How? God, with so
Starting
many
little fires out there.
I know. I don't understand that with so many things that he could be doing. And I know he multitasks. I get it. He's all over the place.
Right.
But why any emphasis at all on things that don't make our lives better? I don't understand it.
He went on to quote, "We won a lot of battles out of those forts." I guess that's why.
It wasn't from the name.
Right.
It wasn't from the name.
Right.
And
Yep.
to be fair, when it was changed to Fort Johnson, we didn't lose any battles out of it either.
That's right. That's why I'm surprised it's even being mentioned. Why is he even being quoted as saying that? I mean, it's just, I don't know. Like you said, it's just small fires that really, unnecessary. Hey, keeping it with Donald Trump, Elon Musk says he regrets some of the things he said in lashing out at President Trump recently. He says he went too far in calling Trump's impeachment and saying he was in the Epstein files. So,
okay, so follow-up question. God, I wish I was at this press conference or wherever Elon dropped this. He went too far in calling for the impeachment and saying the president was in the Epstein files. Does that mean the president wasn't in the Epstein files and he was making it up? Or does that mean he just went too far in admitting it? That's the
where we're all
follow-up.
at,
That's
right?
the clarification we're going to need there.
Yes.
If Elon's like, I got mad and I said some things I didn't mean, that's one thing. I mean, that's a big thing. That is
And as we
libelous.
mentioned,
Yeah.
man, that's right. I mean, breakups are tough, man, no matter how old
I
you
know,
are, no
but you
matter
can't
who
go
you are.
lying about people like that.
No, you can't. You can't. But apparently he posted on X. Apparently that was the post. Regret some of my posts about President Donald Trump, of course, who was tagged last week. He says, quote, "They went too far." So
whatever.
Yeah.
Elon realizes that the bromance is over with, but he needs to hang on to those contracts.
Yeah.
So
that he does.
Yeah. 714 Talk 107.3 FM. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, education from Lobby's perspective. Mary Beth Hughes Derrickson joins us next.
All right, you're clear.
Alrighty then.
And that's her. So
cool.
I'll be sure to connect you both.
Troy says, what would a radio remote be without the technical difficulties? It's like a tuna fish without the peanut butter. Why not? Why not?
Okay.
But those women are still in the bathroom. They never came out.
Wait, they're still in the bathroom?
Yeah, the guy came back out again. Hang on. You know what? Let me go look over there. All right, that makes so much more sense. It's not just, there's a little alcove over there, and it's not just a bathroom. There's the janitorial room is off to the side. So much more sense.
Oh.
With the rabid Trump derangement crowd, I think we would have heard about Trump if he were on the Epstein list. I don't think anybody who has access to the Epstein list is on that derangement list, though. I don't think they're as connected as they think they are. At least not to reality. I could be wrong.
Just
I think
the bumper to come back in. Oh, I'm sorry.
You hit it already?
Yep.
Okay.
We just got some Teddy Pendergrass playing, I think.
Seriously? 717 Talk 1073 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. All right, now we're going to the phones, to the hotline here, stepping away from the Montreal Convention Center. From the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry, we got Mary Beth Hughes Derrickson on with us. Mary Beth, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm sad not to be there with you in person, but you know what tomorrow is, right?
Along with, no, I know it's Sine Die, but you know what tomorrow really is?
Wait, what?
National Seersucker Day.
Oh, that's so right. You've been talking to Dixon McMakin, I see.
Oh, no. I've been talking directly with the folks over at Haspel. I love my folks over at Haspel. In fact, I should have.
We expect to see quite the fashion show tomorrow at the Capitol, I would imagine.
And that's the thing. It's not just the traditional seersucker anymore. They have so many different variations of what seersucker is. So I'll be wearing a seersucker jacket tomorrow, but it won't be what you think it is. I'm going to look a lot more like a used car salesman in 1980. It's going to be a good look.
Oh, I don't believe that, Brian. You're going to have to post a photo on social media so we can all see.
Photos will happen. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yes, tomorrow is Sine Die, which means today is the penultimate day at the Capitol. All the English teachers in the house over here really love that I use that word.
Oh, I love it.
Yep. So you've obviously got to be dialed in over there. What has, from an education standpoint, what hasn't crossed the finish line yet?
Yeah, so we do have a couple bills left in purgatory on the Senate side, Brian, which is very unfortunate. Mostly dealing with reentry, not so much K through 12 education. Mm-hmm. But I do want to mention one that has not been signed yet by the governor, but is hugely important to the department, to the business community, especially in light of the new accountability formula being passed, and that is HB 373 by Representative Jason Hughes. Brian and we've talked a lot about this on your show, about the importance of bridging the gap between education and workforce and making sure our high school students have the training they need if college isn't their path to go into the workforce. And so a huge part of that is industry-based credentials in high school. So this bill, we were supportive all throughout the process. What this bill would do is the Workforce Investment Council, which is housed under the Louisiana Workforce Commission, mm-hmm. every year they would perform an ROI on industry-based credentials in high school. So we're making sure that we're not having students take classes or training that is not going to be useful to them in the future. So a lot of that has to do with making sure they're aligned with workforce priorities, with regional economic development projects coming down the pike, which obviously we have a couple big ones of those coming down the pike with Hyundai and CF Industries and some others. But it's just making sure that we're training our folks up to stay in Louisiana and to find jobs after high school. So I would say that's the biggest thing. But a lot of the wins we've had in education, Brian, were last session, especially with passing ESAs, corporate charters, all of those things. And so I've said a couple times, like, we just need to let that marinate a little bit, especially coming off of a new accountability formula passed last summer. So a lot of those wins, we're already seeing the benefits of those. But as far as this session goes, I would say HB 373 was a huge win, and we're just waiting on the governor's signature.
How do you walk the balance of maintaining the traditional K through 12 education and not have the job readiness be so industry specific that it's like you don't want it to be constantly reactive, right? It's got to have some level of proactivity to it.
Right, absolutely. And I think a lot of these projects that we're seeing, a lot of the skills can be transferred among different fields. I don't think it's going to be every year we have to totally scrap what we have done the previous year, if that makes sense. But a lot of those, and look, it might not even be changing anything. I think we just want to make sure that we're getting a good return on investment with these industry-based credentials and making sure that they're useful to the high school students going forward. So it might not even be a reactive thing, but we want to make sure that we're spending, we're catering to our businesses, but mm-hmm. also making sure we're setting our students up for success.
We're talking with Mary Beth Hughes Derrickson from the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. All right, let's move over to you talked about some of the wins of the last session and letting a few of those marinate. 1 year removed, what's our year plus report card on what happened last year, the implementation of what we saw?
Yeah, so and we talked about this last week, Brian. It was kind of a bummer with ESA funding. The program is in effect, and it will cover those voucher kids. But unfortunately, we did not get the full funding, the full $95 million that was in the governor's budget. So that's a little disappointing. But we did, that program does exist. The legislature can appropriate more money to that in the future. But I think one of the main things is you've seen the effects of high dosage tutoring. We're about to see the effects of, let me back up. I'm getting ahead of myself. There's so many wins, so little time. But Dr. Brumley and the department has been touting the NAEP scores. We've gone up almost 12 points nationally. And a large part of that is due to investment in English and math and reading. And so I think we can only go up from here. Especially with the literacy screener and now the math screener. Mm-hmm. Both of those are incredibly important to make sure we're not sending kids along, just passing them along if they can't read or they can't do or they don't have certain math skills. And so I think since we've gone back to the basics, as Dr. Brumley likes to say, we've seen a huge difference in those scores. So we're excited about that. We're excited about charter school expansion with corporate charters. And we've talked a lot about that too, Brian. It's, if a corporation and a charter school want to partner up and create a school on the company's campus or what have you, we just want to create more opportunities for families. And I think that is what we're seeing post session.
Do we have any real life examples yet of the company creating the campus or
not in the last couple months, but we do have, I believe we have 5 corporate charters across the state, one of which being right in our backyard, Basis, which I know has gotten a lot of publicity. I believe they're ranked nationally in their scores. It's incredibly competitive. But we just see the bridge again, another example of the bridge being made between workforce and education, but also for businesses having a corporate charter. And look, it might not be on the company's campus, but if it is, that's a huge retention tool for employees. If employees are able to send their kids to a school sponsored by their employer, that's a huge win. So all of it goes back to retention. It goes back to making sure our workforce or education is reflective of our workforce needs. And so I'm sure we're only going to see more good things come in the next few months. But Brian, the accountability formula has not gone into effect yet. And so that will be, I'm sure, a bit of a curve. But, it's going to be great. We were supportive of the accountability formula from its inception. And so we're excited to see what results from that.
Couple minutes left here with Mary Beth Hughes Derrickson from the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. Let's go back to the ones that kind of fell short this year. What do you think is going to be picked up again next year? Because it's definitely worth another swing.
Yeah, I hope that, we ran a bill or we supported a bill by Representative Paula Davis to allow a specific number of formerly incarcerated individuals into eligibility for the MJ Foster program.
Yeah.
And I hope that next year the MJ Foster program will get the $24 million that was requested by LCTCS and the Board of Regents, because it is an incredibly popular program. As a reminder, the MJ Foster program is you are eligible at 17 if you're out of the workforce and want to get your foot in the door with a high wage job. You can apply for these scholarship dollars to get the training that you need. And we would make the argument that the formerly incarcerated population needs access to these dollars as much as anyone else to make sure that they get gainful employment. And, to us, it's a public safety issue. We're hoping that we can bring a bill similar to this back next year. But again, Brian, it all goes back to the money, and the program only got the $10.5 million that it was allocated last year. So we love that program. We hope it will get fully funded next year, as well as ESAs and continued high dosage tutoring investment. So those are proven things that work, and Lobby is going to be supportive of them for many years to come.
From Lobby's perspective overall, give since we're talking education, give a report card on the last two regular sessions.
Ooh, like a letter grade?
Oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Well, last year on the education front, A++.
Sure.
I think that, and many of the education reform advocates would argue that that last year was probably the biggest year for education policy in over a decade. This year, I would say a B+, Brian.
Okay.
I'm not going middle of the road, but I mean, I know we're talking about education, not transportation, but we do have a couple of wins across the lobby spectrum of issues. But education wasn't necessarily, the hot topic this session, if you will, given it was a fiscal session. But next year we're going big. So
yes,
watch out.
and when part of it was, I mean, there's certain things that aren't the fault of the educational world. Like, for example, CA2 failing to pass at the polls, that affected the way money was going to be spent. Whether we liked it or not, we kind of painted ourselves in a corner with that one. And the way money was going to be spent and had to be, triaged, I guess, that did have effects on like the Alligator program and whatnot. That did have effects on what decisions lawmakers had to make once things were gavelled in this year.
Correct. It was a ripple effect.
Yeah.
And I don't know if
I like ripple effect better than collateral damage. Thank you. That was so much cleaner.
Yeah, it was unfortunate, that we were anticipating some really big wins in that regard. And unfortunately, with the constitutional amendment failing, we had to go back to square one.
Yeah.
So I do think that next year might be a different story. But we're going to keep plugging along and hoping for more wins in 2026.
June 12th, 6 p.m. Anything going on over there at 5th and Main? I mean, y'all popping champagne or what?
We will definitely be popping champagne. I think there's a number of Sine Die festivities tomorrow night that we're gonna hop around to. But I think everyone is. If you think about it, Brian, we had like how many special sessions did we have last year?
It was
we're
4.
Really in session. Yeah. So I think everybody is very ready for to Sine Die tomorrow evening.
If you count the congressional map, it was 4. So
yeah.
that was.
I think we're all moving on to Omaha. It's like, okay, we're Sine dying. Now it's time for LSU to get another national championship. I think that's where everybody's mind is.
Well, wherever the festivities are, holler at me. I'll show up in my seersucker.
Oh, we'll love it. Can't wait to see it.
She's Mary Beth Hughes Derrickson from Lobby. We always appreciate the time.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. We're coming up on 7:30 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We're going to talk with Ronnie Morris from Bessie in our next segment. I do need to remind you about the folks at Vex European. You can check them out online at vexeuropean.com. That's V as in Vinny. Vinny and his team over at Vex European, what they do is they specialize in European vehicles. More specifically, they'll specialize in your make of vehicle. Hit up vexeuropean.com. Little drop-down tab where it says vehicles. See Mercedes, BMW, Audi, Land Rover, Aston Martin, Ferrari. They're all up there. If you see your make of vehicle, they've got a master level technician for your vehicle. Get yourself a little Vexpertise over at vexeuropean.com. And while you're on that website, hit the appointments tab. You can go ahead and set your appointment up right there at vexeuropean.com. ABC News coming your way right now.
All right, you're clear.
Where are we at, John?
We're in weather.
Okay.
All right, just hit the bumper.
'Kay.
Ready? Let's roll.
736 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We are not slowing down by any stretch of the imagination. We are out here at the Teacher Leader Summit for the Department of Education. Brought us out here last year, got to talk about a number of the wins, and you know what happened? There were more wins this past year. So let's continue to double down on that success. How do we make things continually better? That's the overall conversation. Now, within that, there are individual conversations, and that's why I want to bring in Ronnie Morris from District 6 with Bessie. Ronnie, welcome back, man. How are you?
Good, great, Brian. Glad to be back and share with you all the enthusiasm here at the Teacher Leader Summit.
There is so much. I don't think I can oversell the level of energy here. And it's amazing to me because these teachers just got done with the school year. You would think they would just be ready to clock out, maybe lose themselves on a beach for a week or something. And then but no, they're here. They're tennis shoes all over the place,
Yep.
just sprinting.
7,000 plus.
I know. It's a big number. That is a big number.
It is. And it's a really positive vibe, like you said, very encouraging. And I think to your point, the question in the air is what's next?
So, yes, and we're going to get to that part in a big way because the last time you and I talked, we talked about AI. So let's push pause on that for right now, but kind of look at the overall, the changing of the scenery here, the changing of the perception, the changing of the reality within the world of education in the time that you've been on Bessie. What's it been looking like?
You know, Brian, the way I look at it is we're on a different hilltop right now. And for some folks, that's pretty cool. I've never been here before. I like the view. It's a cool vibe. There are others that are really intimidated by that hilltop. I've never been here before. Maybe I need to take a step back to my comfort zone, what I was doing before. And then there are others that are looking to the next hilltop, right?
Yeah.
What's behind the next hilltop, right? And what's the pathway to get there? So I think that's, in my view, that's really where we're at right now. So really excited about that, and just so excited to see the enthusiasm now in the classroom, because that's a huge paradigm shift, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the enthusiasm we're seeing from the educators, folks are recognizing the work they're doing, the value in that work for kids as well as communities, and for the state as a whole.
We're talking with Ronnie Morris from Bessie about a number of the things that are going to be topics of conversation out here at the Teacher Leader Summit. Sticking with the changes in both perception and reality, jumping up as quickly as we did in literacy and numeracy. I mean, that's not the norm. We're number one in the percentage of change for a reason.
For two cycles in a row.
Right. So, this isn't like Alabama football. You don't just stay number one because you're number one, because it's the percentage you're moving up. We're up to number 32 now in the nation. Obviously, there's still room to grow here, but that accelerated pace, can that accelerated pace be sustainable?
I think so, Brian. But that, to your point, that is key, right? We've got a winning strategy, right? We need to stay the course and make sure we've scaled it across the state, and then again to sustain it. At Bessie, I've worked with Superintendent Brumley and his team to put KPIs in place, key performance indicators. So we've got metrics in place to track our progress. So we get to a point at every Bessie meeting where we review the KPI and we have some sense of, hey, are we on track or not? There are certain milestones along the way, and those milestones are checkpoints. And maybe it's a pivot point. Maybe we want to accelerate. Maybe we want to change direction. But we've got those focused efforts to monitor our progress built into the system. And so I think that's going to help us with sustainment.
I can tell you from the conversations I had yesterday, I don't think changing direction is where we're going right now. No, because here's why. Is guests in the 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and 8 o'clock hour all referred to similar things with the exact same language. The science of reading, getting back to phonics. Like, everyone's on message. Everyone's on point. The communication from top to bottom, the communication is just phenomenal right there. So if everyone is, to steal the phrase, if everyone's rowing in the same direction, well, you're not going to turn that boat. Like that's.
Well, I credit Superintendent Brumley and his team for that.
So he'll be up next hour. So
set the stage for him, because he's done a great job with his team to basically institutionalize the process,
Yeah.
right? So expectations are really clear. They've done a great job helping folks to appreciate the tools, right? The tools that you need to do the job. And then they're seeing the fruit of their labor.
Yeah.
So you put all that together and people get excited about it. Hey, give me more, give me more. And you know, like you said, we're reaping the benefits of that as a state.
We got Ronnie Morris with us, the District 6 representative for Bessie. All right, let's start to talk a little bit about what's next. I know AI is kind of in your wheelhouse. You've taken a deep dive here. Let's start with this. How can AI be used as a tool to personalize learning and make instruction more efficient?
Sure. Well, I look at it in two ways, Brian. I look at it from the teacher's perspective and I look at it from the student's perspective. I think I've shared with you before, you know, what we're going to see. Well, what we see now to some extent and what we're going to see in the future for sure is that every student is going to have their own personal tutor in their laptop. So that AI will be utilized as a tool, right? And in this particular task, that tool will be provide every student with their own individual tutor. So if you're the student in the back of the room and you're totally lost and you're zoned out and you're afraid to ask the embarrassing question, now you just go to your tutor and nobody knows you asked the silly question, but yet you got a chance to re-engage. So I think from a student's perspective, they're going to appreciate the fact, hey, I got my own tutor now. All I have to do is ask.
Right.
And then from the teacher's perspective, I've heard so much good feedback from teachers about, wow, this tool can help me with my lesson plan. This tool can help me grade my papers. This tool can do some early level research for me on how do I present a difficult topic to this group of kids. And I've got a draft of 2 or 3 ideas for how to do that. So the teachers are just really excited. I don't have to go home and grade 100 papers tonight.
Right.
So the teachers are really excited as they recognize the utilization of the tool and how much time it can save them. So frankly, I think as we see the rollout of AI across other industries, we're going to see a reduction in entry-level white-collar jobs because of the efficiencies that are coming with that. And I think that it's going to be a recruitment tool for folks to the education pathway.
Yeah.
Because it does make the job more fun. It takes away a lot of the stress, and it's getting kids, helping to engage kids as well. So frankly, I think it's going to be a draw to the profession.
How do we walk the balance of keeping it a tool and not a crutch?
Sure. The way I look at that one is you think about whenever calculators were first rolled out, right? The initial calculators were like the size of two of my hands put together, and they could do addition, subtraction, division, and that was about it. But as they evolved over time, we know the calculators were recognized to be a tool, and the calculators could perform a lot of functionality, do a lot of different things, and we learn how to use it as a tool. So with the AI tools that are being rolled out now, one of the tools we rolled out is Conmigo, working with Sal Khan and the folks at Khan Academy. And with that tool, it's focused on education. And the way it works is whenever you go to the prompt and ask it for some help, it's not going to give you the answer like ChatGPT. What it does, it works as a tutor, like a human tutor would do. It's going to lead you to the answer as opposed to just giving you the answer. So it's all about the tool for the task and how our educators are presenting that tool and how to use that tool.
I realized as soon as you started to give that answer that I asked you that question last time.
Live and learn. We live and learn, right?
We don't need to learn quick. If I had AI, I would have scratched that from the conversation. We got District 6 representative from Bessie. We got Ronnie Morrison with us for a couple more minutes. And last time you were talking about launching a pilot program. Where's that at now?
Well, that's really exciting, Brian. We're going to get the feedback on that at August Bessie. So we had originally rolled out a pilot program to 11 districts in the state, and we're going to get the feedback on that at August Bessie. I've got that list here for you if you're interested.
Where's the pilot program rolled out at?
So we've got 11 parishes. We've got Acadiana, Bogalusa, Claiborne, Livingston, St. Bernard, St. Charles, St. Helena, Tensas, Vermilion, Charter Schools USA, and West Carroll parishes.
Okay, so right off the bat, you're putting AI in Bogalusa?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We believe we want to give every student in the state a touch point, right? From kindergarten through 12th grade.
Yeah.
Because,
their mascot's the Lumberjacks, though. Come on. With respect to John Weibel, with respect to Representative, come on, man. Bogalusa made the cut.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, we want to give every student that opportunity, and we know there are rural areas throughout the state that really need that extra support. And so we want to put it out there in our pilot,
Yeah.
and let's see what kind of response we get,
Yeah.
right? Because we live and learn, we get different feedback from different parts of the state. Some places it works, maybe some things we need to tweak. But this is how we find those things out.
I mean, and going to hit both students in Tensas Parish. we got Ronnie Morris with us. No, but what I find interesting about that list is there's no major city centers. You have like the suburb area, St. Charles Parish, Livingston Parish. You're not in New Orleans, you're right next to New Orleans. You're not in Baton Rouge, you're right next to Baton Rouge. So within that, you're getting a better grasp of like, you have both, affluent and, a little bit less down the economic scale. So you're getting a pretty good cross section of what the state really has to offer. I'll make fun of Tensar, Bogaloo, whatever, but like you're getting a really good cross section of what the state has to offer.
That's
or bring
right.
back.
And it's very strategic,
Yeah.
right? Like I said when we kicked this off, we've got a winning strategy, and we want to stay the course. And part of that is, reaching to every part of the state, hearing from the students and the school leaders, getting the feedback, and what can we do at the state level to help you?
Yeah.
And this is a really transformational tool, and we want to give them again that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, it's like St. Tammany's not on that list, but I think they have like self-driving flying school buses already, so they're doing just fine.
Yeah. So to your point, this is the pilot program for the tool.
Yeah.
Some of these larger districts may be doing it on their own,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
But this is just the focused initiative that we've rolled out.
I really want to completely pivot. We got 2 minutes left with Ronnie Morris from Bessie. I completely want to pivot away from all this and talk about boots on the ground. Talk about keeping eyes and ears on the situation as it is. And I want to talk about you still substitute teach.
Yes, sir. From time to time, I do, and I really enjoy it.
And let's talk about the why and what you see when you're there.
Sure. Well, I mean, it's all about the kids, and if you're an educator, there's nothing like seeing that light bulb come on, because you've made an impact. You've reached those kids. Kids are excited about it, and and I think it's a cool perspective. You get in the classroom, you talk to kids, you ask them, what are you interested in? What do you enjoy? What you don't enjoy? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And getting that raw input from the students. There's frankly nothing like it.
We got Ronnie Morris with us. Does everybody on Bessie do that?
I don't know. You'd have to ask them individually.
Okay, all right, because I feel like that's valuable input.
I do too. I believe it's I brought some great stories back to the board from my personal experiences. Things that the kids have shared with me, and we want to be responsive. I mean, part of that is kids tell me, Mr. Morris, can you make education relevant? That really struck me really hard, and so I'm really proud of the effort that we've made at Bessie, working with LDOE and our school districts to roll out a new component in the school accountability system that provides incentive for school systems to establish high school internships.
Yeah.
So kids can relate now that practical work experience to what they're learning in school, and it helps the school systems because they get points towards their letter grade, and it helps communities all across the state because it helps them to build their employee pipeline. So it's a win-win for everybody. It responds to the students, right, who want to know, okay, well, why am I studying Algebra 1? Right? Where am I going to use that?
Well, students have been complaining about that forever.
Well,
it's just having a better answer.
Well, there you go. There you go. But Brian, back in the day when I was coming up, you ask a question and it was, well, because I told you so.
Right.
Well, I told you so doesn't work anymore.
Right.
So it's really encouraging to hear what the kids are thinking about. I got the answer to that one I got was at one of our visits to one of the CTEC schools. I think it was in Lafourche, and the CTEC instructor told me about an application they use for Pythagorean theorem.
Okay.
Right, for the pipe fitters and the welders.
That'll tell them.
Yeah. So it's a response to the kids.
He's Ronnie Morris from Bessie. We always appreciate the time, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian.
Here's your money now.
All right, you clear.
Cool.
All right, that works for you.
Very, very much so. Great stuff. All right, where we at?
All right, we're ready. Let's roll.
7:55 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. WBRP Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We've got one guest left on the show coming up next hour, 8:15 all the way up until 8:50. We're going to have Dr. Cade Brumley with us, giving a recap of last year, the last school year, a recap of yesterday at the Teacher Leader Summit, and kind of a preview of today and tomorrow and where we're headed from here. So looking forward to that conversation with Dr. Brumley. Got to check in on, we're going to step aside from the education talk for just a minute. I want to check in on the Facebook chat if I could. Haggai, who will be on with us tomorrow morning for a cup of tech gumbo. That was a great conversation on the way to use AI. Absolutely it is. And I love that they have the grasp on that. And when Ronnie Morris brought up the calculator comparison, is a very, very good comparison. Because remember when calculators were first, or why you weren't allowed to have a calculator first in school? You had to learn first and then use it implement it later. Same is true here. The learning doesn't stop. The AI remains the tool. It's got to be the secondary. And as long as we're using it, it's not using us, we are going to accelerate. Also in the Facebook chat, and I'm really going to step away from what we're talking about right now. We had a story in our top stories and trending about how President Trump is looking to turn Fort Johnson back into Fort Polk, among another of other bases around the country. And I always like to point out when somebody brings something really, really good to the conversation in the Facebook chat. And since we've been so deep dive, it's been such a deep dive on the Teacher Leader Summit. I haven't had a chance to get back to it until now. So if you're just getting into the car, if you missed out on top stories and trending this morning, one of the stories was that, and let me pull it up so I can read it verbatim here just to make sure. I want to be fair to all parties involved. All right. So the story was President Donald Trump said during a speech Tuesday in Fort Bragg that he would restore the names for military bases that their names change, including changing Fort Johnson in Louisiana back to Fort Polk. And my take on this was we've got bigger fish to fry. We've got bigger fish to fry here. You've got the big beautiful bill that is being worked. You've got tariffs that you're trying to juggle all over the world, individually, country by country. Changing to Fort Polk doesn't change the price of eggs. Changing to Fort Polk doesn't change the price of gasoline. It doesn't change how much money I make or how much money leaves my bank account. It doesn't make me safer. It doesn't protect me from America's enemies anymore. It doesn't pave our roads. It doesn't educate our children. That was my point. Now, overlooked in that take, and I'm super glad he brought it up. Stan brought up on Facebook Live. Veterans can tell you didn't serve. And no, Stan, I didn't. And that's not a lack of reverence for those who did, but you're right. The original names of the bases that were changed had meaning and tradition. When the names were changed, we still refer to them by their original names. I, for one, am glad to see them changed back. I just wanted to bring that perspective into the conversation because that's a great comment by Stan and should be a part of the overall discussion. I mean, what's a good comp here? Okay, I got one. Here in up in Baton Rouge, if you went to Bishop Sullivan, all of a sudden one day you went to St. Michael. How long was it still called Bishop Sullivan? And if you did go to Bishop, did you still call it Bishop for years on down the road? I think that'd be about the closest we'd have to a comparison there. So yeah, if you are a veteran and you served at Fort Polk, you're probably going to carry that with you for the rest of your life. I don't think it overall changes my take, but it definitely is part of the conversation. So thank you, Stan. I greatly appreciate that contribution. And oh, by the way, we're live on Facebook every day. Even when we're on the road, we're live on Facebook and on YouTube, courtesy of the folks over at Lake Urgent Care. Love the partnership with Lake Urgent Care. They visit with us on Friday mornings with their updates, and they bring you our conversations on Facebook Live every single day. All right, we got news coming up. Top of the hour, 8 o'clock hour is heading your way next.
All right, you clear?
Thank you. Actually, I don't have anywhere to go right now. I'll keep my headset on. Damn, I hope Stan was still listening because that was an important part. Yes, that was Brandy, and I did give her a hug. I didn't specify who it was from. Let me text her real quick. All right. This day in history, I haven't done my prep. Ew. I'm not paying $50 to get in a pool. All right, that's 2. Thanks. Well, good. How are you this morning? I don't care about that. Scoozy. Sorry about that, y'all. Could have done without that. Ba-ba-da-bum-bum-bum. Ba-dum.
All right, Brian. We're coming in. 8 o'clock bumper is.
Just say when to go.
Okay. All right, let's roll.
806 at Talk 107.3 FM at WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We're starting off the third hour of the show. It's 73 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Significantly warmer, or I should say more humid, over here in New Orleans. Actually, I don't know the humidity in Baton Rouge. What I do know is, like, you step outside the Montreal Convention Center, it just punches you right in the chest. And then in no time at all, the shirt is just soaked with sweat. We got a lot more ground to cover in this hour. We got one more guest, but a lot more ground to cover. Dr. Cade Brumley is going to join us. Let me reset. Brian here with you. John LaBeouf back in studio. Why am I not in studio? I'm at the Montreal Convention Center for the Department of Education's Teacher Leader Summit 2025 edition. We did this yesterday. We're doing it again today. And, that's going to wrap up our coverage after today. We will be back in town for the final day of session tomorrow. It is thus far been a phenomenal show today. Ronnie Morris was awesome in our last segment. Mary Beth Hughes talking about the legislative end. We talked about in our 6 o'clock hour, we had on with us Meredith Jordan, the executive director of Diverse Learners. If you missed that or missed the conversation with Misty Davis talking about truancy and absenteeism and whatnot, both of those conversations will be posted on demand, courtesy of Lake Urgent Care, after the show is over with. So if you missed anything at all today, highly, highly recommend going back and checking it out. It's been a very productive day. And, oh, by the way, while you're on demand at talk1073.com, check out the conversations from yesterday as well. It's just been so much really, really good content, all jam-packed into 2 very, very quick days. All right. We have got this day in history coming your way in exactly 60 seconds. Why 60 seconds? Because I need enough time to tell you about the folks at the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. FlyBTR.com is the website. FlyBTR.com is where you're going to go to learn information about where you can travel from Baton Rouge. Plug in your little 2 destination, put in your dates and times, so when you want to head out, when you want to head back, FlyBTR.com will get you there. Now, when you're looking at ticket prices, don't just look at the price of the ticket. Look at the all-encompassing price here. Talk about, driving all the way down here to New Orleans in order to fly out. That's going to add a little bit of, add probably about an hour, hour and a half to your time one way, and then another hour, hour and a half to get back. Look at the cost of parking in New Orleans versus in Baton Rouge. I mean, think about how much more convenient it is if you just Uber to the airport, not have to bother anybody, not have to pay for parking or anything like that. And not to mention, when you fly BTR, you're supporting a local business. You are supporting a business in your own backyard. Check them out, flybtr.com. Don't forget about that daily flight to Washington, D.C., right into Reagan National, flybtr.com. All right, time to roll back the clock. This day in history. John, what we got?
All right, here we go.
Yes, sir.
1776, Continental Congress creates committee to draft a Declaration of Independence with Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Roger Sherman, and Robert R. Livingston as members.
Wait a minute.
That happened today.
And they got it done in under a month?
Yeah, who'd have thought?
The committee that put together the declaration happened today, and they handed that in on July 4th?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good for them, man.
Yes,
Good for
indeed.
them. I mean, it was only one page. It wasn't like they had to knock out, a doctoral thesis.
But still, right?
No, I understand. You're not going to get 13 colonies combined together. You're not going to get consensus on anything. So I'm sure there were a few fights along the way. But June 11th to July 4th, that's not that long a period of time in the grand scheme of things.
Not that bad at
Especially when you consider, once they got out of Independence Hall or wherever that's where they signed the thing. But, I don't know where they were when they first met. But once they broke and they went back to their individual quarters and whatnot, it's not like they could be texting back and forth like, "Ooh, let me add this line." They didn't email back and forth saying you need to add this and you misspelled this and whatnot.
Yeah.
While they were in the room, that's the only work they could do.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right. Come a long way, huh?
yeah, we have.
Heck yeah. 1898, first U.S. Marines landed Guantanamo, Cuba during the Spanish-American War today as well.
Okay.
Let's see. Hey, 1935, inventor Edwin Armstrong gives the first public demonstration of FM broadcasting in the United States
Really?
at Alpine, New Jersey.
Very
So
nice.
that happened as well.
Yeah. Shout out.
Hey, oh, go ahead.
Shout out. I mean, we're not here today without him.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, let's see. 1982, directed by Steven Spielberg. Today, E.T. was released. Another one from Steven Spielberg, 1993, Jurassic Park.
Really? They both came out today.
Yep.
All right. There's your summer blockbuster, as it were.
Yes.
By the way, you're only up to 93. Okay, keep going.
Yep. Let's see. 2002, American Idol also
There you
premieres
go.
today on Fox.
Yep. Hard to
2000
believe that show is 23 years old.
Right.
And at the same time, it's hard to believe that show is only 23 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we've put up with,
For
well,
sure.
he hadn't been on for a while, but we've put up with Simon Cowell for over 2 decades now.
Right.
Are you kidding me with that?
Yep.
What else is going on?
2 years later, in 2004, Ronald Reagan's funeral is held at Washington National Cathedral.
All right. Yeah.
So-
Oh, boy, I remember that. I do remember that vividly.
Yes, indeed. Let's see. 2009, the World Health Organization declares H1N1 as swine flu to be a
Okay.
global pandemic.
Yup. I do remember that one as well.
Anything else on this day?
Well, I don't know if you were going to have it under deaths or not, but today was the day that Timothy McVeigh was executed.
Yep.
All right.
It was under the death. Yep.
Birthdays, what you got?
Let's see. 1933 here, Gene Wilder.
Yes, sir.
Gene Wilder. Also actor Peter Dinklage. Let's see. Hugh Laurie as well. Another actor. Famous
House?
LaBeouf.
Is that? Yeah.
That's him.
Happy birthday, House.
Yeah. Famous LaBeouf here. Shia LaBeouf today.
Okay.
There's that. Anybody else on your list?
Got a couple more to add to the list here. We're going to start off with Jacques Cousteau, born on this day in 1910. Mehmet Oz, born on this day in 1960. From the world of football, Vince Lombardi, born on this day in 1913. Former Saints punter Tommy Barnhart in 1963, and former Hall of Fame quarterback Joe Montana, born on this day in 1956. And since we're in New Orleans, born on the same day as Joe Montana in 1956, former Mayor Ray Nagin.
All right. Yeah. Moving on to deaths here. Let's see. 1979, John Wayne today.
Yeah, saw that. I
then
did not realize he died in 79. I thought it was more recent than that.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Dusty Rhodes as well. 2015.
No kidding. Okay.
Yeah,
The American Dream.
that's right.
I think that's the American Dream. What national day is it?
German chocolate cake day.
Nope. Don't care. You know what?
Corn on the cob day.
You know what? And I've gotten word that our state legislators at the Capitol, they're decked out in their seersucker today, when tomorrow is National Seersucker Day. So we're going to make a declaration right here, right now, John.
All
Today
right,
is Seersucker Eve.
Okay.
All right?
You can take that, right?
Yeah, if you can
That's
have a New
better
Year's
than
Eve,
what
you
I
can have a
had.
Seersucker Eve.
That's right.
Today is Seersucker Eve. So shout out to Haspel. Rep your Seersucker. As I'm in this New Orleans heat, I'm really wishing I had some Haspel on this morning. Really wishing I had gone the Seersucker route to bring things down here.
Indeed.
Yep. All right. We got to take a quick break. When we come back, we've got our State Superintendent of Education, Dr. Cade Brumley, in the house next.
All right, we're clear.
Cool.
Right at 8:50.
Yep. Oh, my word.
prominent education influencers in the country. He started Scotlandville High.
That's what he told me. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. Yeah, I was trying.
All right, Brian, you ready?
Thanks for coming again.
No, let's every year. I love this. Yep, ready to roll.
All right, let's go.
818 to Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. All right. We've got our headliner, as it were. We've got our rock star, as it were, the man, the myth, the legend, the most popular man in the building right now, to be sure. Dr. Cade Brumley is with us. How are you, sir?
Man, I'm doing great. I thought I was going to come in and bat cleanup, but everyone has already hit home runs that came on the air this morning.
It has been phenomenal. The guest list that you're. Oh, by the way, shout out to Ted and Kim as well. Everything about this experience has been phenomenal. So, we talk a lot about the energy and whatnot. Your team does such a good job of putting this thing together. It's hard not to have energy.
Yeah.
So,
like I mentioned whenever I was walking up, I don't think people can appreciate the logistics behind bringing together 7,000 people in an event and everything that you have to take care of. But, I'm really proud of our team. We have the best State Department of Education in the country. And we're really excited to have teachers here. I mean, yesterday morning, we started out with our opening ceremony at 9 a.m. To have a classroom of 7,000 in front of you
Yeah.
with tremendous energy and much to celebrate was just super fun.
I saw before as they were going in, all 7,000 trying to pile into the big room there. And I'm like, oh, come on, you're teachers. You can't get in line.
But did you notice the balloons? Because I can't have an event without balloons. So
I
my
did notice
team
the
is always
balloons.
about the balloons.
I did. Well, they all had to funnel through that little
That's right.
balloon tunnel.
And
right
our
there,
balloons
so.
are in the shape of pencils, so we have to be on brand. They come
I
together and they
missed
form
that
pencils.
one.
So,
Okay,
yeah,
I
you
missed
have to
that
check
part
out.
of it.
Yeah. It's the little things, Brian Haldane.
I understand. And like I said, y'all are knocking it out the park once again. Before we get into your opening remarks from yesterday, before we get into the meat and potatoes of this year's Teacher Leader Summit, let's get a little recap of last school year. What were some of your takeaways? We distance ourselves from the storms and the pandemic and everything else that started your tenure here, and you're really able to shift into drive. Give me a recap of last year.
Well, I mean, look, I'm 5 years on the job at this point, and last year was really nice because we didn't experience a global pandemic or hurricanes or those types of things to the extent that we had experienced them previously. I know we'll talk legislation probably in a bit, but we had a really strong legislative session last year for reform, which I thought was great. Had a lot of partners in the work there. I think last year we rolled out our tutoring model to scale for the first time across the state, where every kid who's not quite at proficiency in those elementary grades and reading and math, they got a little extra support. I think that was really important. Last year, our state board made a really bold and courageous decision when they voted to raise standards on accountability. So the public gets a true sense of school quality, and it incentivizes the things that matter the most for a school system. So that'll go into effect soon. So the workforce space last year was incredible around creating internships and apprenticeships for kids coming out of high school. So just a lot of good work that we're excited about, and that doesn't even include some of the national accolades that Louisiana had received over the last year.
The workforce space, that's a big deal, and y'all are taking it seriously within the office as well. I was talking with Ken Bradford yesterday about the bump up, the increase in internships, and this isn't a small bump.
Yeah,
y'all are going from 300 to 1,100.
Right. Yeah,
300, 1,500.
We have an expectation moving forward that every student on that career pathway during high school will participate in an internship opportunity somewhere in their community. And that's not just a job shadow. It's not like go hang out with this person for a day.
Right.
There's a certain amount of required classroom time, and there's a certain amount of time on the job, and it's paid. So it is a paid internship. They need to understand what it's like to do work, to earn a paycheck, to have your taxes taken out of your paycheck, and have those experiences. And so we're moving forward with this idea that high school students on that career path will participate in internship opportunities. And so that's why we really need this partnership with business and industry to be able to for them to raise their hand and say, hey, I'll take a high school kid for, however amount of time makes the most sense. But we're excited about that work.
We got Dr. Cade Brumley with us, our state's superintendent of education. Getting back to the recap from last year, we saw the numbers continue to grow, continuing to move up the charts. One of the things that I've been asking about over the last 2 days has been, while we do want to continue to move up the charts, the residuals are going to drop off eventually. I mean, there's only so far up you can go. There's I don't want to say diminishing returns because the returns are in the students. But, if you start off your football season 4-0, you can jump from number 25 to number 9. It's harder to get to number 5 from number 9 than it is from 25 to 9. So, as we move up, how do we manage expectation?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's something we think about a lot. So the national data will tell you, Louisiana, in 2019, 49th in the country for education, 32 today, leading the country for 2 consecutive cycles of the nation's report card on reading, top 5 in math. All these numbers are coming in that are positive. And we want to be excited about that, and we should be excited about that. And I'm very thankful for those numbers, and they're a testament to the hard work that these teachers are doing every day. But you don't want to just sit there and marinate at 32. You want to figure out how do you get to 22. And so I think we have a strategy that is working. I think some of the reforms that were passed last legislative session with support of the governor and the legislature, those will begin to take hold. And as kids, what we're seeing is that our younger elementary students that are experiencing these reforms around reading and math are getting stronger. And so as they like matriculate up through the system, I have hope that those results across the pre-K 12 experience will get stronger.
And that's the natural, the long-term effects of this is if you learn how to read earlier now, of course, the 3rd grade reading numbers are going to be up now. 8th grade reading numbers won't be up for a couple of years.
And then ACT numbers are a few years
exactly,
after that. So
exactly. So while you won't see the percentage of growth at the younger, because we're hitting where we need to hit on the younger end, it's just having them age their way up the process with that embedded, with that bedrock underneath them.
And you asked the question in some form. You asked the question about how do we continue to get better, and I hear that question a lot. And what I want to caution people around is, we can't just go around and chase the next shiny thing. Like the way that we were able to make this progress is because we returned to foundational elements of education. So now we can't just go chase the next shiny thing or fad. We have to stay true to teaching children how to read, teaching children how to do math, making sure that whenever they're in high school, it's a valuable and meaningful experience. So whenever they graduate high school, they're ready for what's next. And we can't just go chase fads. We have to hold true to the strategy.
Talk with Dr. Cade Brumley. I want to follow up on that real quick, and I'm keeping one eye on the clock to make sure the whole next segment might be about this year's summit. So keep it on that. Numerous conversations yesterday, and none of the guests had talked to each other beforehand. But I heard the same messaging across the board, specifically when it comes to the science of reading and phonics. I heard the same messaging across the board. You are a guy who puts a great emphasis on letting teachers teach. I mean, that's the mantra around here. Let teachers teach.
We've got the T-shirts.
And yeah, I have one. I need to get a bigger one. I'm still too fat. Anyway, let teachers teach, but also let the districts be the districts as well. That is, from your top down, you're taking feedback from the way back up. How are you managing to have your messaging make its way down while still respecting the feedback coming back up?
I mean, look, we have been really consistent on the things that have been most important to us as an agency. I have a brave plan, back to the basics, redesigning high schools, accelerating parental rights, valuing the teachers, and expanding educational freedom. That's the way in which I've organized our office. That's the way in which we organize our funding sources. That's the way in which we organize our conversations with people. And I think that probably what you're describing is that you're hearing individuals talk those same topics. And it's not because we've prepped someone to do that necessarily. It's just because that's what we're doing. And that's their lived experience right now. And that's what's changing lives for kids.
Number of conversations I had off record, off the air, once the show was over with yesterday. The feedback I'm getting on this particular conference is, so first of all, not a lot of people. I asked, was it Ken? I asked him yesterday. I was like, in all your travels, have you seen this? He's like, no, nobody else does this. The feedback that I'm getting is there is a level of buy-in from the teacher's perspective that they're not there just for marching orders. they're respected professionally now.
Well, look, I held a session on my own yesterday. I'm not just here in terms of, trying to smile and shake hands and make sure this is going off without a hitch. I actually led a session yesterday, and I had I was thankful I had a sold out session, to brag for a moment. I had 900 people register for my session. We had it in a large room, and I did a Let Teachers Teach session. And our Let Teachers Teach movement has been around, number one, entering that conversation, believing that it's about student outcomes, number one.
Mhm.
That is number one. But then how do you make the job more satisfying? How do you make it more fulfilling? And we believe we know the reasons that teachers are upset or not happy about their work or leave the profession, and we're trying to solve for those issues.
Well, and then the last point on the let teachers teach is that we've heard for years, we have great teachers in Louisiana. Okay, cut them loose, let them run.
Yeah.
If we have that level of expertise, let them put their own passion behind it as well. That seems to be like a no-brainer to me. And now that we're seeing it in practice, oh my goodness, we have results.
Yeah, and what's important about that, I know we got to watch the time, but like we have set the expectation and the standard of what we expect to be taught in classrooms. Our state board has set the expectation of what it looks like to be a high quality school. And then you provide local systems the ability to go and implement on that in their own way, in their own context, whether it's in, Lake Charles or Lake Providence. Looks a little different.
We got about a minute before we hit break here on Talk 107.3 FM. Talking with Education Superintendent Dr. Cade Brumley. We are at the Teacher Leader Summit 2025. The department brought me back out again like they did last year, and this has just been a great 2 days worth. We're not done yet. We're going to talk a little bit more about what's going on today and tomorrow with the summit. Before we get to that, though, closing thoughts on, as the legislature is going to close up tomorrow, or maybe a little earlier, as they're wrapping up in the legislative session. Anything else you wanted to see from them this year?
Well, look, I want to make sure that to all extents possible, they fund our tutoring efforts. That $30 million has been really important to the work that we've done. They're doing some stuff on teacher pay, which I think is important until a permanent solve can take place. So really excited about that. Obviously a little disappointed around funding for LA Gator. And the lack of the ability to expand Ed Freedom across the state, but we're just watching it through Thursday.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a break in 30 seconds from right now. We'll meet up with ABC News. Don't forget, tonight over on our sister station 104.5 ESPN, Game 3 of the NBA Finals coming your way. Series is tied up at 1 between Indiana and Oklahoma City. That'll be over on 104.5 ESPN 7:30. Saturday, 6 p.m. Well, 5:30 airtime, 6 p.m. first pitch. Here, Chris Blair on the LSU Sports Radio Network on our sister station, Eagle 98.1, as the Tigers are in Omaha. We will continue with Dr. Cade Brumley right after this news break on Talk 107.3.
All right, you clear.
Cool. Yeah, they do it from the beginning. They used to reseed once they got there, which I wish they would do, because we wouldn't be playing Arkansas.
It feels like on paper the national championship is being played between LSU and Arkansas on paper.
Right. Which, honestly, kind of here for it. Yeah. I would rather play Arkansas with Cade Anderson.
Yeah.
Right out the blocks.
Right.
And that, I mean, partially because I'm biased towards my fellow St. Paul's Wolf, but yeah, I want our best versus their best right out the blocks. So,
Small business optimism was up in May, according to the NFIB Small Business Optimism Index. Here's Sean Richardson. NFIB State Record Law said optimism increased, but uncertainty is still high. She says one issue is the 20% small business reduction. There's lots of what's uncertain about where their future lies. Obviously, that puts money back in their business and they're able to reinvest. Long says optimism is likely to continue to rise due to sweeping tax reform and the legislative session addressing the interest crisis. I think everyone, just in general, is becoming more optimistic about where the state is headed. I'm Sean Richardson. In Fort Bragg yesterday, President Donald Trump said he'd restore the names for military bases that had their names changed under former President Joe Biden. That includes Fort Polk, which was changed to Fort Johnson, for Medal of Honor recipient Sergeant William Henry Johnson, who served in World War I. It'll now go back to being named for Silver Slug
Like, and so I actually, John, how we looking?
We're good. We're about to be going into weather.
Okay. I fell backwards into an RV vacation. Miller's RV. I was doing a bit about a news story about it was this RV trip that went wrong, and
I have so many things I could say about this, but I'm not.
Yeah, no, I did the whole bit. I said all the things. It's like I think we all have that little John Steinbeck in us where we want to travel and whatnot. But I also really appreciate a well-made bed and tucked-in sheets. It's like I want to get the family on the road like Clark Griswold, but I don't want to be Cousin Eddie emptying the toilet. Like so,
there are so many things to be said
yeah,
about you.
So Jeff Hilliard from Miller's RV calls me and he's like, "Let's do a trade deal." So I'm getting a free RV.
Awesome.
So I got to plug it on air, right?
Yeah.
And in true radio fashion, I'm like, okay, let's sell some sponsorships for this.
That's awesome.
So I will have a sponsored vacation this year.
So your second daughter, she's doing AAU basketball?
Yeah.
All those games that you attended are going to pay off, huh?
I sure hope so. It has.
It feels like you were at like a middle school basketball game or all the time.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much because my oldest played basketball through middle school as well. So yeah, It's a different world. We're not in the Catholic League anymore.
Are they all like Baton Rouge area kids?
No.
We just hit the bump.
Alexandria, Monroe, Lake Charles, Gulfport.
Wow.
So yeah. Oh, on her team, yes, but we travel. We ready?
Yeah, let's roll.
837 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Our conversation with Dr. Cade Brumley continues as we're at the Teacher Leaders Summit 2025 version. All right, Dr. Brumley, let's pick up by talking about this year's summit and what's new, what's exciting. Let's start with your opening yesterday.
Yeah. Well, look, our theme for this year's summit is a new story for Louisiana education. And so what we tried to lead with is the idea that, we've made a ton of progress. People view us nationally in a different way. We are in many ways the story across the country when it comes to K-12. So we wanted to celebrate with teachers as we open the new story for Louisiana education. I actually had Dr. Rick Hess, who is the education director for the American Enterprise Institute, join me on stage yesterday morning. And we had a conversation around what he's hearing nationally about education. He had the opportunity to share with leaders and teachers some things that he thought they could be leaning into here to continue to improve in Louisiana. What's interesting about Rick is, he's one of the most influential thinkers and writers in education in the country, but he got his start at Scotlandville High,
right
in Baton Rouge. So I made him tell that story to kind of lead the conversation, because in Louisiana, credibility means a lot. And people in Louisiana don't like to have someone come from, over there to tell them how to do something.
Right.
And I appreciate that. So I had to let Rick tell, he had some Louisiana roots here to opine on our situation. So it was fun. Had 7,000 teachers in the room, quite the classroom, and a lot of fun, a lot of energy.
And where do we go from here? Give us an example of like some of the breakouts, some of the big talks. What are teachers absorbing while they're here?
Yeah, so everything we're really tight on what we allow to be presented in those sessions. We want it to be thoughtful. We want it to be impactful. And so a lot of sessions on foundational reading, foundational math. We have a lot of sessions around our history and civics work, our freedom framework that we're teaching across the state. We have tremendous opportunities around career and technical education, college preparation, aspiring teachers, developing leaders, so just a breadth of sessions, over 500 sessions over these 2.5 days where the teachers can
You're probably with us for a couple more minutes here talking about this year's Teacher Leaders Summit. Biggest takeaway from day one outside of your session? I mean, are you able to make it around to pop your head in?
Yeah, I try to do that. I'll walk through. This convention center is so large, so I get my steps in. So I walk through. I visit the sessions. I try to engage with people, and I learn a lot too. Like I get to hear, what about this, or what about that, or you should consider that. What's interesting too around our Let Teachers Teach work is that we made those 18 recommendations, like no cell phones in classrooms, reducing these teacher trainings, making sure that disruptive students are removed from classrooms. Those 18 recommendations from last year are going into effect, but we're thinking now around like, what is Let Teachers Teach 2.0? What did we miss?
Right.
Is there something out there that we still need to do to make the profession more fulfilling for the teachers? So those have been fun conversations as well.
The no cell phones, I think, has been really, really well received. How hard was that to implement? Because I know, like as grown-ups, we're all addicted to our cell phones as well. Learning to manage your cell phone while not being captive to it, that can't be the easiest thing out there.
So this was, obviously part of the Let Teachers Teach package, but Senator Beth Mizell is the one who ran this bill. And I remember having conversations with her early on, and I'm like, Senator, this is going to be a real challenge to implement. I think it's super important that we do, but I just want you to be aware of the challenge this is going to be to implement because of in many ways, the addiction that people have to their phones, adults and students. And I really have to compliment the educators and the school systems across the state, because I think they have done a tremendous job of implementation on this. And true, it's helpful that they were able to say, oh, it's state law now. It's not just so-and-so high school trying to be mean on cell phones. Right. It is the state law of the land. So that has obviously been helpful. But their communication has been great on this. Their implementation has been great on this. And so I just think that we're going to see improved academic results because we have pulled the cell phones out of the classrooms. Let me give you an example. So I have what I call my superintendent's teacher council, and I meet with them quarterly, a group of teachers from across the state. We talk about ideas. We're talking about cell phone implementation, and they say, the kids are now talking to each other at lunch. They're not texting each other.
Right.
And one teacher told me, she said, I have had to this year plan more content for every classroom, every class session, because I'm covering more ground. Because I'm
Wow.
not having to deal with the distractions of the phone and telling kids put that away. And
Right.
we are covering more ground. So I thought that was one of the most profound things I had heard around the cell phone issue.
That kind of pivots us over to the removing problem students as well, because that that allows the classrooms to stay focused as well. Implementation of that, what's it been like?
Well, I mean, I think it's early. I am very firm on a belief that a school and a classroom should be peaceful. It should be orderly. It should be calm. It should be academic, and you can't do that if you have student disruptions that are preventing teachers from teaching, and other kids from learning. And so we had a few bills this last legislative session that were able to take students who were being disruptive in the classroom setting, remove them for a period of time. The school administration can't retaliate against the teacher for asking for support. And then before that student can return to the classroom, it requires a parent conversation, parent conference for them to be able to return. Also, more aggressive legislation passed that says, that if students are suspended from school 3 times, then they have to go to an alternative setting so that they can get the support that they need, because they're probably acting out for a reason, whether it's an academic reason or a
Right.
mental health reason or behavior. So going to an alternative site so that they can get that support that they need, I think is really important. But also, it allows that regular ed classroom to function as it should, so the kids in that classroom can learn without that distraction. So I'm pretty firm on this belief that schools have to be orderly and peaceful and academic, and I want to do everything I can from my position to make sure that happens.
How glaring has it been? I mean, have there been a lot of like standouts that have made it up, up the chain to your office where the enforcement has had to come to pass?
Yeah, and look, what I share with people is all of this requires strong local implementation.
Right.
It requires a strong principal, an assistant principal, and a strong local superintendent. Because I'm not coming from Baton Rouge to a classroom near you to remove a disruptive student.
Right.
Like we have, through legislation, through our BESI, we have created the conditions so that teachers should be able to teach without distraction.
What are you looking forward to today?
So this is really nerdy, Brian, but we have some sessions on explicit instruction and like very targeted instruction. I'm looking forward to that. We're doing some work on how
Wait, what is that?
So it's like when you're teaching, making sure that it's really focused and it is very explicit in what you're trying to get the students to know and understand. So we have we have a couple of sessions on this today. They're packed out. Teachers are really excited about it. The other thing that I'm excited about today is we have a session on how do you grow the future education workforce. We have seen our vacancies in the teaching profession across the state be reduced over the last few years. 3 years ago, we have 2,500 teaching vacancies. Now we're at 1,000.
Wow.
So we have
statewide.
So it's a combination of good policy to attract people to the space, but also to let teachers teach work, which is holding people in. So we've got that, but we also have to think about the bench and cultivating the bench of teachers. And so we have a session on how we can start growing more teachers into the space. And for me, I don't think it's this one, a kid goes to high school, graduates, has to go to college of education. For me, it's how do you tap the most intelligent, creative people in your community that are competent and excited about the potential of going to a classroom and allow them to teach. Like
Right.
break down the barriers for people who want to be teachers to be able to do that work.
Why and how much of that is teachers have to be cheerleaders for teaching?
Yeah, well, and that's been the problem. That's why I'm going to keep saying it. That's why this let teachers teach work is important, because what was happening for some time, and it's still happening today to some degree, is high school teachers were telling kids in their classrooms, do not go be a teacher.
Right.
Don't do this. This is awful. So we have to create the conditions, because it's not awful. Education's a wonderful profession. We have to create the conditions where those teachers are telling kids, hey, you might want to take a look at this.
We've got about 3 minutes left. That workforce question was that's one I'm glad you got to. There's a couple things I want to squeeze in these last 3 minutes. Can we go back to the legislative front real quick?
Sure.
Okay. Big year last year. kind of less attention paid this year, except for the scholarships and whatnot. When it comes to things like changing course or changing direction or implementing something new, how long do you give it before you put something else out there to try something else again? Because I feel like if it were a big diet last year, a big meal of education last year, and then a big meal of education this year, I think there would be a little bit, there would be
It
a
would've been
want to
too
pull back,
much.
right?
Yeah. I mean, look, last year we worked, hand in hand with the governor on his Dream Big education package. I think people will tell you it was probably the most significant ed reform package in over a decade.
Yeah.
It was heavy. It was heavy for, reading the basic things, reading and math, but it was also like an expansion of school choice, an expansion of charters and ESAs. So there was a lot in that particular Dream Big package. And so this year we just said we need to sit in that work and make sure we're executing in that work. And so we weren't necessarily engaged in let's go try to find the next thing this year.
Right.
We were more like we still have work to do to implement successfully and launch successfully.
And that window would look like what? It would be next year, year after that, where we start to look back again.
Well, yeah, I think so, and I think you have individuals within this ed reform community that are continuing to look at what could be next now.
Right.
That we've been able to successfully implement the reforms of last year. What might it look like moving forward? But even in that space, like for me, we've got to be really careful that we don't distract ourselves from the ways that we've been able to see progress, investing in teachers, investing in core content, investing in ed choice issues. So we want to stay true to those things as much as possible.
Last thing before we get you out of here, and I have a feeling this is going to be a good no comment, but you got 7,000 teachers that just wrapped up an entire school year, and they're running on nothing but adrenaline. Should we pray for the French Quarter?
There are plenty of prayers that I'm offering every day. I'll tell you that. So that we can get through this thing.
Yeah, it's going to be lit.
Yeah, they're having a lot of fun, but they could be on a beach somewhere right now, and they're choosing to be with us, and so I'm really excited. And they need to have fun. And
yes,
this is like it's a combination of these teachers are in quote class from, you've seen them, 7:30 to like 5 o'clock.
Yes,
it's not like we're doing a 3-hour session here.
Yes, well, and the very last note, teachers, that no cell phone policy remains.
That's right. That's right.
He's Dr. Cade Brumley. Thank you so much, man. Thanks for having me out.
Yep.
Absolutely. 8:50. Here comes your money now.
All right, you're clear. No, man. Getting there. It's funny because anything I do, I never use my actual name anyway. Oh man, I gotta swim.
Shit. I am winded.
Yeah. We're almost there.
Yeah, I know. Oh, awesome. Oh, the black stuff's coming off the AirPads
Oh man, that's the worst.
on the headset. I know.
You getting them on your ears and stuff?
Yeah. Not just on the ears, but like I look down, it'll be on my shirt. The problem with it being on the ears, I can't see it. You know. Ooh, stack of texts. What?
You don't have any cuts here. Huh?
No. What's the date on this story?
All right, just hit the bumper. Ready to roll?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
We are at 8:56 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Just a couple minutes before we get out of here. Do need to remind you about the folks over at Breck. Breck.org is the website. Breck, one of the things I love about Breck, and I'm a huge Breck supporter. One of the things that I love about Breck is that they're tasked with being all things to all people. And that's not an easy thing to do. But whatever it is you do recreationally, they've got something for you. If you're into golf, there's 5 golf courses, a couple of 9-hole golf courses to boot. If you are into just getting out in nature and hiking, they've got nature trails to hike. If you are into cross country running, Highland Road Park is your answer there. There's an archery place out at Highland Road Park as well. Whatever it is that you're into from a recreational perspective, Breck has got you covered. Learn more about their facilities, learn more about the activities, get the community calendar, get it all over at breck.org, breck.org. So we're keeping one eye on the legislative session as it is in its waning days. The session by law has to close out tomorrow. Cannot last longer than 6 p.m. tomorrow. They have to sign a die by law. I am hearing that they might be done a little bit early. they might be getting out of there ahead of time. And I've got one eye on the calendar here. The rundown for the House today. HB1 and HB2 are scheduled for concurrence today. That's your budget and your capital outlay. Those are both scheduled for concurrence today. Now, once both of those things get done, you're hard pressed to find the want to keep going. Once HB1 and HB2 are out of the way, your level of importance drops off significantly. That is like there's just everybody kind of has that post exams mentality at that point, right? Senioritis, as they call it in school. So I'm very, very curious to see how things play once HB1 and HB2 get their concurrence. And I have no doubt that they will get their concurrence with little to no problem, because it didn't change much from when it went to the House to when it went to the Senate. In fact, a couple more dollars were added, but nothing of any real significance that would make them want to, really dig their heels in and change things up a little bit. So we're keeping one eye on that for the next couple of hours or so to see if they get out of there early. Also, looking ahead to tomorrow's show, we will be back in studio to talk about really all the local headlines. We haven't really missed out on a lot of local headlines, but we haven't been as dialed in as we could be. I'll tell you, on tomorrow's show, we will have Jason DeQueer from Advantis Consulting with a little legislative recap. We will have Lana Venable from Louisiana Lawsuit Abuse Watch with her legislative recap, and Daniel Ersbaumer from the Pelican Institute with his as well. So, as we've taken a deep dive over the last 2 days into the world of education in Louisiana, we'll be back in the legislative session tomorrow. I don't have enough time to dig into another story here, so we're going to kind of call it there. I do, however, want to thank the crew, the team with Louisiana Department of Education, specifically Ted and Kim, Ted Beasley and Kim Powers. This has been a phenomenal ride for these last 2 days. I could not have asked for anything more. The content has been great. Y'all's interaction has been great. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, you're clear.
Cool. I saw a story as I was coming back in from break, and I wasn't able to track it down in enough time. And I don't know if it's real or not. No, I think it's a sad. No, see? This is an advocate post, not a sadvocate post. All right, let me go back to Twitter. You go ahead. I'll disconnect us here in just a minute, John.
Okay. See you tomorrow.
Advocate. Excuse me.
Oh, do you want to handle featured now or just?
Yeah, featured is going to be Dr. Brumley for sure.
Okay. Headline?
Let me think of a headline for a minute. It's going to take me a minute.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Sorry, I'm multitasking. I'm scrolling through this. I could not keep my attention because of this headline that I saw. And now I don't see the article attached to the headline. And I'm not going to talk about it unless I physically put my eyes on it. If you follow this advocate, you likely already know what I'm talking about. Oh. Oh, no. Baton Rouge councilman plans lawsuit, seeks criminal probe of predecessor. Of course, I'm not subscribed on the friggin' phone. On May 28th, Banks posted photos to her Facebook page during a Metro Council meeting, images that quickly circulated among council members. The post showed a condom wrapper next to a document bearing Kenny's name, which appeared to be partially pulled from a backpack. Fisher and Kennedy, declined to comment beyond their letter to Banks, which accuses her of planting the item and searching Kenny's personal belongings. Oh, this is so good. All right. Yeah, that's what we're going to follow up on. We'll have a lot more of that tomorrow. Too early to yawn. I got to pack up and get back home. Facebook, we will see y'all later. Thank you so much for playing along.